But mate, we are officially on, and this is officially your first podcast.
How you going?
Good, brother. Obviously had a chat beforehand. It's the first time we've ever met. What do you think about podcasting?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Do you listen to any?
Yeah. Like you can mix it up between music. I do like a bit of duff, but mix it up between music on the way to wherever you're going and hearing a podcast. But I'd say before I sleep, I listen to most of them.
Yep. What do you listen to? Specifically Rogan, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, a bit of Rogan and that. But my mate Geordie Sullivan, who he's a fight dietitian.
Yep.
So he's got his podcast, and if you want like any sort of knowledge in that, give him a quick plug.
Yeah,
but
any sort of I've listened. The only podcast I've listened to his is with Craig Jones.
Yeah, man. He's got a lot of useful information out there, especially when you're sort of coming up in the fight scene.
Yep.
You know, a lot of the old school coaches aren't that up to date, so yeah, his stuff just gives you that information.
Is he looking after many of the guys in the UFC still?
Yeah. Like all the top guys and that.
Really?
He's a man as far as it goes with weight cutting and whatnot.
Because there's like Mike Dolce, and then now to kind of be him up there with as far as the most.
Oh man, I'm biased. Like I put Geordie number one above everyone.
Yeah.
Like I've followed Mike Dolce and everyone else's. Like, you know, back in the day when Connor was coming up and everyone, what's he doing? Followed his coaches and all that, but like, as far as things making sense and being explained very well, Geordie's the man. And he doesn't hide any information. Like, all of it is out there. Like, he just wants to see the sport grow, people not die, do it as safe as possible. Like, if people are performing at their peak, then we get better fights.
Yeah, exactly right. How much weight were you cutting? Like, what were you walking around at? What were you fighting at?
So, I did gnarly weight cuts, to be fair. Like, There was my second pro fight.
You're always renownedly lean.
Yeah. Like, I'm still always in good nick, but like I'd walk around about 5% body fat and 81, 82 kilo. And then the weight cut would come and Geordie's like, what are you weighing, man? You're like, 80 kilo. Like, that's a day before. And he's like,
+3.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. There was a couple of times when like I'd be telling him, I'm like, yeah, that's about 800 grams over, but whatever. And he's got plans, but fortunately I'm a very good sweater. Like in Thailand, like I drink 9 liters of water a day.
Fuck.
Yeah, just to try to stay hydrated.
It's super hot over there, hey?
Yeah,
Humid.
but even like amongst people who sweat a lot, like I sweat a lot. Like I leave puddles around, and the tire trainers would just be looking at me like, "What the fuck?" But also, that's a good
Higher
thing.
baseline temperature.
Yeah, well, I sit in bed and I'm like, "Fuck me, it's hot." Like high metabolism, you just run a bit hotter. But weight cut time would come, and I would follow Geordie's advice to the T. Like, you'd be in the sauna every day after training, you're doing your breath work and everything, but that also increases your sweat rate. So like that last weight cut I did, I went from 80 to 70.4 in 32 hours.
Fuck.
I lost 8 kilo in about 4 hours. Like, it just flies off me. And he's got like your whole sodium manipulation, carb, every gram glycogen, 3 grams of water,
Yeah.
Like doing all this not by myself, with Geordie, but because I was a heavier person, like you do learn a trick or two. So when it does come time to help out, fellow people in the gym, you could do your own research. But, I've got the correct information there as well because of Geordie.
Oh, and it's crazy, man. Like there's some really strong opinions around weight cutting and extra divisions and things like that. Not so much in the UFC, but in more of the amateur stuff. There's fighters dying, like boxing, and it is not healthy, like to dehydrate your brain and then get a concussion.
Yeah, man. Like a third or fourth amateur fight, I think it was a girl on the Gold Coast. And I don't know how many people know, like she did a weight cut and the fight got called the next day and I'm pretty sure she might have died.
And it just never got
any
promo.
Yeah. You don't really want to be promoting that sort of shit, but like I think that was what happened. But yeah, no, average of about 10 kilo weight
There
cuts.
is no reason in an amateur fight that you should be dying cutting weight.
No, not at all.
It is the most insane thing.
You are going, and this is a mistake I made, 100% a mistake I made. I would cut 6-8 kilo all through my amateur career, but I'd fight 4 to 5 times in a year. So I'm always underfueled. I put myself into REDS, relative energy deficiency syndrome. I made myself sick. Like I've got other bowel issues, and like I'm not fighting anymore, so I can pretty much come clean with it all. But I've got ulcerative colitis as well, which is like the sister of Crohn's. So like I'm always anemic. So like every fight that I've had, I've always struggled. Like I've been in and out of hospital. Before I fought for my belt, I got a photo on Instagram. I was in hospital a week before that.
So were you getting like infusions or just supplementing
I
Ferrograd and...
usually the Ferrograd, the little orange powder sort of thing, but like once in a while I would get an infusion when like I'd pass out randomly.
Yeah, that's like proper anemia too.
Yeah, but
fuck.
Like I'm a hard worker, but I'm an overworker, and I was a idiot. Like I was just an idiot. And Geordie would always be like, "Just rest, bro, just rest." And I'm like, "But if I rest, then I'm not losing weight," which is, you know.
Run me through like the week's training, like back then. Like you're doing 2 a days. Like
depends when it was. There was a period where I would wake up maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. I'd go for a 30-minute run. I'd jump in my work van. So I was a mechanic on the road. I'd go in to see Elliot Compton or Steve Compton at Auchenflower, do a session with them, shower at the gym, straight on the road. I would work 7-8 hours that day. Wouldn't go home. Would go straight to the gym, shower, gear on. I'd train there, go shower. Sometimes I'd call in and do gymnastics on the way home because I was always a gymnast. After that stopped, I would do PTs on the way home, get like 4 or 5 hours sleep, wash, rinse, repeat.
So you're leaving at what time in the morning?
4-ish, 5-ish.
And getting home when?
8:39. Because
hell.
The gym was in Stafford and we would be over in Upper Mount Gravatt.
Yeah.
So like, man, I was fucking wrecked. I was such a dickhead.
That's an immense amount. How long were you doing that for?
Half a year or something like that.
See, that's an immense amount of...
But then we used to do these sessions, right? Look, we were tough. I'll say that. But we train our full week. So like you got Monday, Wednesday, jiu-jitsu. Tuesday was MMA. Thursday, striking. Friday night, wrestling. And after wrestling, you'd be fucked end of this week. Then you'd wake up at 5:30 in the morning. You'd drive over and we'd do this brutal 1.5-hour like leg conditioning circuit. Like you look at it now and you'd be like, Jesus Christ, you were overtrained. And we'd all do that. But yeah, we were pretty renowned for like having no quit in a fight. Like you'd be like, no, this has got nothing.
Is this the integrated boys in general?
Yeah. So we'd go over to Nitro. And Blair Studley, look, he's a genius when it comes to like that strength and conditioning, but I don't think it was that great on our part to be training as much as we were and then going to that. Like we just didn't space out our camps the right way. Like we didn't have any structure. We were just like fucking go hard the whole time.
Hard as you can. And and these days, man, there's so much research into it. You guys probably didn't have as much access to it as well. And it just comes down to, you know, having the right coaches behind you as well that have done it.
Yeah.
And go, you know what? I know how that fucking feels and it's really tough. And this is how we need to do it properly. Like as far as peaking and things like that, there's so much science behind it now.
So having performance coaches as well, or someone who's got that sort of background, I think like we've got early days of MMA, which is like, let's say the 2000s. Like in Australia, I'd call that the earlier days.
Yep.
It was a harder mentality. Like before all this technique became available, you could have good technique and just be a fucking hard cunt.
Yep.
And go out. Yeah, man. And you could just run through people. People that have quit. I fought a couple of people where I'd say that jiu-jitsu and just that whole strict jiu-jitsu, De La Riva, X-Guard, it's good to know, but like in an MMA fight, it's not going to get you very fucking far because you're going to get punched in the head. But the guys who would be better in jiu-jitsu would fight me and you just outwork them or just, you know, outdog them.
Yeah.
Put them on their back and be like, you try to keep up with me.
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu is a lot about that in, you know, obviously when you're white against a black, a little bit different, but in just a solid fight, no give up, we'll win. So
then you got like early days of MMA. I feel like that was a little bit what it was. There was, like, if you get someone from back then, like let's use the highest level, for example. Someone from back then who was a UFC champion, put him up against a regular guy who's just come into the UFC. I'd be betting on the new guy.
Yeah.
Like guys who have come up with MMA, come up with a broader skill set. Like, all right, cool, you're good on the feet. I'll just take your ass down and beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Why? Because everyone's like a purple belt.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't need to be like a good jiu-jitsu purple belt. It's like you just need to know what the hell they're doing so you can stop it and punch them in the head.
And that's like Israel Adesanya. He's renowned for his defense, not his jiu-jitsu, but his defense against it. But then you talk about the young guys coming up like Sean Strickland, who's only ever trained MMA. He wasn't a Thai boxer or a kickboxer that then learned to defend jiu-jitsu, then learned to wrestle. He was a mixed martial artist is what he's done since he was a kid and eventually goes on to do what he did. But we might talk about that a little bit later. What I want to talk, obviously there's some key reasons you're here. We'll get to that. But I do want to tell Tim's story because I think you're a really interesting guy. But Fight record is what, 3-1?
Yes.
Your most recent fight was Beat Down Promotions.
Correct.
In May last year? This year? Be May this year.
August, June, August or May? Something like that.
Somewhere around that.
Yep.
Tell me about that fight.
Yeah, it was a cracking fight, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did you kick someone in the chin?
I did. I talked a lot of shit beforehand as well. But
What's the feel like? Because you're a really funny guy. Like, you're just a really nice, funny guy. So, where you just trying to sell the fight?
I'll sell the fight, be a shit stirrer. Like, you know.
There's a few ways you can win a fight.
Yeah. Like, this was when I was a very young man. My dad was always like, you got a fucking big mouth. Like, you got to learn to fight. I was like, yeah, look, fair enough, you know? So we'd box on in the kitchen and whatnot. And like, that's where that started. But, you know, sell the fight. You're starting to get like 3-1. Like, well, sorry, what was...
You would have been 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 at the time. We'll talk about the fight that made me 2-1. Like, you're starting to get to that next step, and I already had a sponsorship lined up overseas, and look, I was fucking confident. Like, I knew my skill set going into it. What I've always been athletic, but training with no shame plug here, Perform 360. They sort of...
They're at Everton Park, Everton Hills.
Yeah,
I've
and they're amazing. Like, as far as training athletes go, like, I sort of unlocked what I used to be able to do. Like, I got a pretty banged up body. Like, I'm sure you'll see me doing this a lot. Like, my neck's pretty shot. I sort of, unlocked my body and was able to perform skills that I used to know. And going into it, like, I felt like I had all the buttons on my controller. Yeah. So to say, if you're playing
L1,
UFC,
L2, up, down,
and your balance was there. Yeah, and over in Thailand, because everyone's sweating, you have to have a different style of footwork if you want to move. Like, it's rather than step because you're going to slip, you got a more bouncy style going on, which I didn't get to show on the fight. You know, I went out there, I put my foot down on the cage, and I went, fuck, this is slippery already. And I had to change my game plan. I also had a broken right knuckle. It's still fucked in there. Like, it's got a decent lump in there. And that was from Val's head, the little shit. Anyway, so yeah, talking shit. Like, I was like, all right, if I can get some views on this, I'm about to go to Thailand. Like, the plan was we were looking at PFL after that. Like, the guy who is it Ruby Promotion?
Did you have management?
Well, yeah. Over here I do, and then over there, like, they wanted to help me get to these bigger shows. So I was like, all right, let's start creating a name. Let's start getting a following. Like, trying to do that. It's all in good fun. Like, at the end of the day, you're gonna go try punch each other in the head. Like, if you had to knock me out, fair play to you. You shut my fucking big mouth up, didn't you? But I kicked him in the head, so cool.
Yeah, when it goes right, it goes right.
Absolutely. So
you end up with a Conor McGregor sort of.
Yeah. Like, yeah. So it was a good fight. We I watch a lot of tape. Anyone that does know me doesn't know of me, because there's a lot of people with mixed opinions because I do have a big mouth. Anyone that knows me knows how much tape I watch. Like, knows I watch fights from the 70s right through to now. Like, I study. I've got a knack for calling things before they happen. Like, I can be at a live event and be like, that guy's going to get knocked out in like 5 seconds. Like, and this is how it's going to happen. I study a lot, and I knew how this guy moves. I've watched every single one of his fights several times over, all the way through up until the fight. Like, I visualize a lot, and we planned. Like, Trev Sinclair, amazing friend, always had my back. We planned like what we were going to do when we got out. A lot of it didn't come off because I lost my mental a bit walking out of there. Like, I wasn't quite switched on. It took me a little bit, but what happened, we planned for it. And I said 8-10 weeks before the fight, if he comes out hard and fast and tries to get me down, and he does, he's going to blow his load doing so, which he did. It wasn't like, oh, suddenly Tim's got some energy. I felt him get weak because he expelled a lot trying to get me down. There was the first choke, cool, fighting it off, happy days. And the second choke came around, the second attempt, and I was like, I peeled it off and went, oh, fuck, that was easier. Yeah. And I started to get up, and I was in his coach's corner, and he goes, oh, if he gets up, slam him again. I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, you're this tall. Like, a fall from this height isn't that bad, Up, down we go. I was like, all right, cool, I'll just get back up. And I grabbed his arm, and I went for that Kimura, and it just happened. I was like, oh. And I had his back, and Dan was looked over, and I didn't know he was saying push him forward. All I heard was dump him. And I went, yeah, rightio. And I just tossed his ass. And then that back take, I did one jiu-jitsu session training for that fight. I was like, no, like, I know jiu-jitsu, like, I can tap, like, I can do all that sort of thing, like, but I was like, no, I want to kick this dude in the head. And, but you see a finish and you go for it. So that sequence of getting up, I was training with Benny Johnson, Diego Pereira, and a few of the boys at the fight center. And when coming through the amateur ranks, we never had a sequence for standing up. They taught me the sequence for standing up. You know, you're against the cage, the foot on the outside comes up first, comes inside the shoulder so you can't get the hook in.
Yeah.
So obviously you want to get the far hook in if possible, so you got to have your back pressed against the cage. So if you slam someone and you've got that gap, you get that far hook first. If possible, get the inside hook and then work from there. But I saw that far hook and I just went, yep, backpack. As soon as I got up, I was like, oh yeah, 8 years of jiu-jitsu, probably should use it. And then he did his little flip, but I'm already tying my legs up in that body triangle.
Yep.
Like I lived with Jamie Spawn for 2 years or something. And
Is he still fighting?
Yeah. He's got a bit of an injury he's working back from, but he's got something scheduled. I won't be blabbing about that.
Yeah.
We trained through COVID together, the whole lockdown. We turned our spare room into a matted room.
Oh, man.
So we would just be, you know, doing what friends do and then be like, all right, let's go do jiu-jitsu for 3 hours every day. So I've gone from like an athletic blue belt to, you know, I was training with 2 black belts because, you know, we didn't have people come over because of lockdown.
Allegedly.
We didn't. Yeah, of course we did. We had a brown belt, another black belt, and Jamie being a black belt, and me as a blue belt just being like, yeah, fucking teach me shit. And I come out of that and I was
That's
like...
a perfect situation for you.
Yeah, man. I was like, cool, I'll teach you guys a bit of kickboxing, you teach me jiu-jitsu. And then everyone thought I was a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yep.
And then I fought Cody and then, you know, outstruck him in the stand-up. Anyhow, yeah.
There you go, eh? Well, so tell me about the loss then, because you mentioned we'll talk about the loss.
Yeah, so
Who was it
David
against?
Martinez, who was the
Specifically
ex-champion.
jiu-jitsu, yeah? He's very good at jiu-jitsu, isn't he?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, a fantastic guy as well.
Yep.
We're having chats mid-fight. That guy is such a nice guy.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his interviews, and he seems like he's got, what's his fight? He's got a nickname.
The Smiling Assassin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's renowned for being a really nice guy.
Yeah, dude, he's a legend. He's just a hardcore competitor as well. So that fight, I come back from knee surgery. So I fought...
What was the injury? Like ACL?
MCL severed. So I had to have knee surgery. I was meant to fight Tom Nolan. And then, yeah, bro, I need knee surgery. And like me and him messaged back and forth. And he's a nice guy as well. Like he looks like a hard cunt, but he's a nice guy. He messaged me and was like, fuck, man, like sorry to hear. And I was like, yeah, man, look, I apologize for having to pull out because I've never been one to pull out of fights. No. Like I fought coming out of hospital, you know? And then, so that happened. I had knee surgery and I got like... It's kind of me fashion to be like, all right, if shit things happen, make the most of it. By the time of the 10 weeks where I could put 100% of my weight on, I was already pretty good. After that, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. They were like, oh yeah, David needs an opponent. I haven't done jiu-jitsu for like 6 months.
And you know where it's going to end up.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but all right, if I can keep this on the feet, you know, like, because I'd fought in...
the competitive stuff.
Yeah. So I made like my pro boxing debut with no MCL, I found out. Like, I was like, yeah, it obviously hurts, but I hadn't had a full scan. I went and got a ultrasound and they're like, yeah, it's torn. It's not completely severed. Went back and looked at the results. They couldn't see it. So they assumed it was fine.
Yep.
Because it wasn't there. So I got an MRI and they're like, yeah, it's retracted down to the bottom of the bone. I'm like, yeah, sick. Cool. But I boxed and Shawnee Olsen, he's another legend as well. Everyone in the fight game is. And we box and like, I'm slipping, doing my Muhammad Ali shit. And I'm like, I always wanted to do that. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm a boxer now. I'm like, I got hands. So my head tells me. And I'm like, all right, if I can keep it on the feet with Martinez, I'll be good. No, like, of course he's going to take you down.
When
like,
did he take you? Did he take you down the first round?
Yeah, it took me down the first round. Like,
And it was a second round submission?
yeah. After he crunched my eye in, like, so, because, like, you know, you're not meant to give up your back. Like, I'm better at escaping back than I am mount.
Yeah.
Always have been, don't know why. But I was going back and forth and he dropped this elbow and I felt my eye socket crunch. Like, I've still got a nice little lump from it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just permanent.
What goes through your head? I've never been elbowed that hard. Like, when it happens, like, what does it...
Just fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's too much going on.
You know it's bleeding straight away?
Nah, the red told me it was bleeding, but like, you don't feel it's bleeding.
Yeah.
You just see the like red come down in your eye. And I'm like, right, like I can't stay here or the ref's going to stop it. Like you've got options like, all right, I can risk my back being taken and the choke coming or he's going to stop it. And Dave's good on top. Like, he was the Australian 2-time champion. He's just beaten the other Australian champion. Like, he's fucking, he's top dog.
I'd rather give my back than another eyebrow.
Yeah, right? So, you know, obviously the choke came on and that. But, like, man, I took that fight on 2.5 week notice.
Yeah.
Like, after knee surgery and not doing jiu-jitsu for like 6 months.
What year was that?
I don't even know. It was like 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
So you fight at the beatdown promotion. Let's say what?
August, May.
Yeah, let's say around there. You win. How soon after that win do you go to Thailand?
I was going to go pretty quick, but I wanted just a bit of extra cash because I was moving there permanently. Yep. So I was like, all right.
So before that though, you received a scholarship to go over there and train.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there any sort of payment? Was it just live in the gym, train some people, all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that sort of stuff. But like, you still got to look after yourself outside of that. So you got to work for X amount of time. I worked out how much it would cost to live there for a year and saved up that money.
Yeah.
So as soon as the fight finished, like the next day, like I started working. Yeah. I was like, right, I just got to save some fucking serious cash. Trev also was like, yeah, dude, live with me for free so you can just save. So he helped me out there as well. And then, so Matt Lee as well, because we were living there, then the lease broke, then stayed with Matt Lee for like 3-4 weeks as well. And that was all like, all right, we just got to save as much money as we can. I'll get over there, get some fights, start making some cash. And, you know, PFL, UFC, whatever it was going to be.
Was there any indication of like what would be next?
Not really. It was get like another.
So it's just a what? Let's go over there. Let's train. Let's see what comes up.
Yeah, and it was also the happiest I've ever been in my life. You know, like finding that. You know, you got a dream. There's no better feeling than sort of like chasing a dream with everything you got.
Yeah, well, Thailand's one step closer to Vegas.
Yeah, that like it's just. Dude, it's just the best place to be, isn't it? Like, you can be riding along in your scooter, come back from the beach after, like, training twice a day, and you're just like, fuck, like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like, the Tiger Muay Thai trials that came out ages ago, you watch those, and you just, like, you're watching people get beaten up by these
Tiger Muay Thai would have been, like, one of the first kind of, I reckon, like, international sort of gyms where there was a lot of expats going over there for, like, kickboxing holidays. You know, that popped up.
And that's what, like, I used to just watch those videos. And then, because I've worked with Geordie, like a very long time now. Might have been 4th amateur fight in, like years and years. And this was before, like, when he still had, like, a different sort of payment plan. Like, it was super, like, just coming up.
Coming up, yeah.
And before I went over,
I'd hate to think what it costs to work with him now.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to know. Dude, I remember one day I was like, hey man, like, have I paid you? And he's just like, nah, man. Like I stopped that a while ago and I was like, yeah, shit.
Oh, well.
But dude, he's such a legend of a guy. Like, anyway, so before I went, I was like, hey man, like, you know, all of these guys, like Bang Tao or Tiger. And he's like, yeah, without a doubt, Bang Tao. Like, those guys are at Bang Tao now. And I went over and met George, Frank, Alex, Woody, all of those guys. And like, man, like you've met me, you've seen my personality sort of thing. Like, I'll get along with anyone. Yeah. Like, there's a few people in the Australian MMA community who are just like, fuck this cunt. But they don't know me as well. Like, I'm a giant jokester. Like, it's just non-stop jokes for me. Like, I'm just trying to have a fucking good time. And like,
happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I'm trying to make as many people happy as I can. Yeah. Just sometimes it rubs shoulders with people. But anyway, like, I was going over there and I'm like, yeah, I'm the token Australian. Like, g'day guys, da-da-da-da. And they're like, yeah, the fucking Aussie. I'm like, yeah, this is my place. Like, this is sick. And you get along with everyone. Yeah. Yeah. Except a lot of those Russians. Like, we had some fucking wars. So lunatics. The second time when I went over there, like, there was like a group of Ukrainian Russians, like all these sort of like hard guys, Dagestanis and everything. And like, for the first week, like, they just want to fucking kill. No, every week they want to kill you, you know? Like, again, not many people got to see what level I got to on the local scene. Like, they got to see it, like, quite technical, but they would be trying to take your fucking head off.
Oh, lunatics.
The whole time. So, like you'd be moving around, you're having your technical fun, da-da-da, and, like, they'd come in like that, and you're like, fuck, I've got to go to war with these cunts. And every time I was like, fuck, they're just wanting to kill me. Yeah. And it was about a week and a half in, and one of their big guys came after him. Oh, excuse me. And I think he was like a welterweight or middleweight, southpaw dude, and he'd just be chilling, and he would throw. And he was like, stepped through to ortho, and he threw one, and I leaned back, and he threw it that hard, he spun out and fell over. And I went, right, cunt, it's fucking on. And then we went to war, like proper, like it was a fight. It was a fight.
Yep.
And afterwards, and he's like, my brother. And I'm like, the fuck is going on? After that, all the other, all these Russian guys and all that, were like, yeah, man, like, yeah, you're the brother and everything. You're like, that's all I had to do.
You'd been made.
Yeah, like I just had to have a solid scrap.
Yeah.
Like George and Frank are pretty like, you do not take each other's heads off. Like, we're here as a team, we're getting better. Like, they'll kick people out of the gym.
George and Frank Aussies?
Nah, they're American.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, they're basically Aussies.
Yep.
They love their American country music too. It's so funny. But they'll throw people out of the gym. I saw him throw a certain Aussie out of the gym as well. Like after his tooth goes flying, and I was like, Jesus. But I went up to George and I was like, hey man, like I know we want me to hit people, but like if people are like, you know, taking the piss, like, and he's like, yeah,
what's the gym etiquette? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, man, fucking like, yeah, stick up for yourself sort of thing. I'm like, fucking right, cunt. Like, here we go.
Historically, you pick your pace.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, but yeah.
The problem is the Dagestanis and Russian only know
one pace. Yeah, yeah.
That's How long were you in Thailand for before everything started to go wrong for you?
I think
like, how long were you training?
I think that trip was only like a month and a half.
Yeah.
And that was like sell my life here and move over there.
Yeah, fuck. And then the 24th or the 5th, you posted a video.
Yeah.
You were sitting in a corridor in a hospital over there.
Yeah.
You hear it's like you're in a fucking hallway, let's be honest. You're sitting there, you're like, you've got, hey, I got this, I'll be out for a little bit, I got this infection. I kind of want you to take over from here.
Yeah.
Tell me about the days after the 24th or the 5th and what went wrong there.
So that day we went in there. So it was 3 days before that. Like I was limping. I was like, I couldn't put any weight on it. I thought I'd just like fractured it. But then I've got this fever. And we went into that hospital and they wanted to amputate straight away.
Fuck.
And I was like.
Had you had staph before?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's so common over here.
Yeah, I've had golden staph. I've got a scar that big on my side I had to have surgery for. I had staph in Thailand the first trip under my leg. I think that was kind of it. But like both times it's been pretty hectic. And I've been on it straight away. An Australian doctor sent me away. And I was like, no, it's like MRSA. Can you please give me medication for MRSA? And he's like, no, it's staph. I was like, there's 7 other people in the gym with MRSA. Can you please give me that medication? He's like, no, it's fine. Went away for 2 days. And then it's this volcano that's just oozing past. So I went back and I was like, how about now? And he's like, oh, you need to go for surgery. Like, you got to go to the Royal now. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I was over there and then...
So who's driving you around and who's getting you around? Is it the gym that's helping you out with everything? Or are you jumping on the back of fucking scooters?
So there's some really amazing Thai people that like I consider family over there. And they put me up in accommodation, like cheaper than everyone else. And like I'd always eat dinner with them. Like they were teaching me to speak Thai and everything like that. And a few of them were like helping me out. Like, oh, we're going to take you to the hospital, take you to this one. And once I got to the second hospital and checked in, it was like, that was it. Like I wasn't leaving. By this point, my foot is as big as a football. I've got 2 black dots on the end of it, a black dot on the shin.
Is this after you posted the video in the corridor?
Yeah. So that video in the corridor was like a local hospital. Yeah. And like they were like, yeah, amputate. And we're like,
what the fuck, eh? Like that's a long-term solution.
Yeah. But you know, a lot of Thai people can't afford the medication because it was $15,000 a day.
Did you have insurance or anything?
So this is the bit because everyone's like, what happened to your insurance? Why don't you have insurance? You're a fucking idiot. The first time I went to Thailand, I got travel insurance. 3 months, you got a start date, you got an end date. Pretty easy to get insurance for. You're moving to Thailand.
To fight.
What insurance do you get when you're moving to Thailand? I don't fucking know. So I moved there and I was like, all right, when I get there, excuse me, I'll ask a mate who's already there, hey, what insurance do you have for living here, training, etc., etc. I got the insurance, paid for it. I've still got receipts. I've got the certificate. There's a 10-day cooling off period. Because obviously if you get insurance the day before, like they're going to be like, oh, it's a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
the 9th day is where I went to that corridor hospital of a 10-day cooling off period. So once you check into that hospital, it's just like it's on a system.
Yeah.
I've got to the big hospital in Durack, I think it was called. Just filled out all my paperwork, all my travel insurance, go in, start doing everything like that.
At this stage, you're thinking I'm all good. I'm insured.
Yeah.
Life's good. I'll come here, get the treatment, and I'll be back trained then.
Easy done.
Yeah.
Right? And they come back, oh, you're not insured. Your insurance won't cover you. I start emailing back and forth, and they're like, oh, no, you went in on day 9. This is a pre-existing condition. I'm like, how's it pre-existing? Like, this is something you catch and it develops. Like, So your life's in danger. I saved up a decent amount of cash to move over there with. The first day, that was gone.
Fucking hell.
A years of living in Thailand, gone in a day.
They wouldn't really even treat it much at that stage.
No.
You're just kind of in
And
there.
they were treating me incorrect as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So, like, the next day, I've messaged Matt and I was like, man, like, can I borrow $2,000? Like,
Yeah, and we should talk on Matt because I don't know Matt very well, but I did see the effort he went to.
Yeah.
That's the sort of bloke that I think everyone should be friends, like, or have a friend like him, man. Like, I don't have a mate like Matt. Put it that way.
Until you meet Matt.
Yeah.
Nah, Matt's, like, he's a fucking legend. Like, you got to judge people who they are at their core. Like, my friend circle, you know, a lot of them are a lot like me. You let's say a little bit troubled in the childhood.
Battlers.
Yeah. So him at the core, like, he has his core values and you can't shake him on it. And I was like, yeah, man, I need $2,000, And he just, yep, cool. And then he goes, oh, obviously something's up. So he just starts, do some digging. I start posting things that don't make any sense because I got a fever. Everyone was like, oh, you fucked on medication. I was like, no, the fever was doing it. I didn't really have any medication. You can't afford it over there. So he starts doing all that. But yeah, on Matt's helped me since like I was 22 years old.
Yeah.
See, he fought when I had my first MMA fight as well on Aftershock. And we became good friends. We cut weight together and it was sponsored by...
He'd be a bit older than you, wouldn't he?
Yeah, 33.
Yeah.
And the venue was sponsored by like a Donut Time or something like that.
Yep.
And like an energy drink company. And we weighed in and we were just like, oh, you want to take a fucking giant thing of donuts? Like, yeah, who's going to stop us? Like, we're the fighters. So we just grabbed these 2 things of donuts and a can of energy drink, took them back home. We sell the energy drinks, eat all the donuts. And we're like, yeah, you're pretty cool. And then like at the Christmas party, we're like hanging out, you know, like do the same shit and be like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, you're awesome. And, you know, teach him how to fix cars. He teaches me, you know, life skills, like writing resumes and everything like that. Like, he's a smart dude. He's an economics professor and da-da-da-da. But when you know Matt Lee as well, he can be a bit blunt, to say the least. So, like, he can be a hard guy to get along with if you don't know him because he's always taking the piss, but so am I.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's something you got to get used to with people as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's
but at
you
his
got to get to
core-
a point where it's like, well, yeah, at his core, obviously. Because if you look on, I think, on that video, he's like in the comments going, hey, man, if I can do anything for you, let me know.
yeah.
You know, and that's...
Yeah, Matt's been my best mate for a long fucking time.
But he's obviously done some stuff over here. But let's go back to Thailand. So you're back in the big hospital now. You fucking, essentially your life savings is blown in a day.
Yep.
Let's call that day 1. What's day 2 look like?
Wait, Matt, can I borrow some fucking money? I'm in some shit.
When did it start to, because it picked up.
Yeah.
You could say that in the local scene went viral. You know, Craig Jones is sharing.
I didn't know any of that, right? When all this is happening, I looked delirious because I was. But yeah, a lot of people was like, oh, you know, the pain meds and rah, rah, rah. Like this, I can't describe the fever that it gives you. Like it's something trying to kill your body from the inside. And it screws you up. Like I didn't have an appetite. So I was about 83, 84 kilos when I went in hospital. By the time I got back to Australia, I was 74.
Fuck.
I was sleeping a half hour a night, like just waking up in pain. I could stomach half a tub of yogurt a day. Like people would bring me all this food and I'd be like, cool. Like,
did you have any confidence in the treatment you were getting?
It's not really, but what choice do you have?
Yeah.
You know? Like through the whole thing, I was pretty chill. But I get fighting might have taught me this as well. Like just a shit pass. Like you can control the things that are in your control. If not, why are you going to worry about it?
Yeah.
Like, so my whole attitude is like, all right, good fucking luck, doctors. Please do your best, you know, like not much more I can do about it except try to stay positive.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not positive about a bad situation, like you're just going to make shit worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many days were you in Thailand? Like in the hospital there?
4 or 5, I want to say.
And what was the outlook while you were in there? Was it ever, because there was a stage and Dr. Mustafa?
Yep.
And that kind of went, I saw it, and as it was happening, I saw a post saying that there was an Australian doctor that's gone in to see how he's going, and then it was said then that they discovered that they were treating you with the wrong antibiotic entirely.
Yep.
So was the losing the leg, and the leg was fucking terrible then.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, you must have started to think, hey, I'm in serious trouble here.
No.
Really?
No, I was like
you always thought that, hey, I'll come out of this.
Yeah. Man, this is not the first time I've scraped death as well.
Yeah.
Like, bit of a cat with the 9 lives sort of thing. Like, just stay positive. You know, like I've had a pretty fucking shit life, to be fair. And you just got to do the best you can.
Yeah.
And that was my attitude through it all. Like, if I'm stressing, other people are going to stress.
Yeah.
The first time I guess I got worried was I got a good mate in Thailand, Lauren, and she's still over there. We did the first 3 months together, and we kept talking after and was like, look, yeah, I'm fucking going back. Like, I'm moving there. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing the same. Like, we'll chase a dream. And she was there, and she started crying the last day I was there. And like, so the last day I'm about to leave, Mo's there and all that. Oh, I guess, no, the night before is when I was like, oh, Mo sort of leveled with me. But even after that, I was like, nah, surely it's
when
good.
you say leveled with you, what do you mean
so
leveled with you?
The night before, I didn't know at the time we had like a few different flights grounded, ready to get me out. Because there are so many amazing people in Australia.
Yeah.
Dude, thank fuck I am not a cunt.
Yeah.
Like, if I was a bad person, I'd be dead. Thankfully,
It's the ultimate test.
Yeah, a lot of people thought my life was worth saving. So thank you, everyone. Mo came in the night before, so 8:30.
Mo is the Dr. Mustafa?
Yeah,
Mo Mustafa?
Yeah, Mo. Absolute legend, right? He's there on holiday, comes in, saves my ass.
Yeah.
So Pete flew over as well. So this Thai doctor, the paramedic Pete, on the local scene, he does a lot of local shit. He's a legend. He was like, yep, I'll fly over and grab him and bring him back.
So he flew over entirely for you?
Yeah, yeah. So like through the fundraiser and everything, we got enough money to get
Did you have any relationship with him prior?
We knew
Like
each other on the local scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he was there when I got stitches, when I fought Cody. Like, you know, you're on the local scene.
It's not like eating coffee with him every Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like enough. So he flew over, and this Thai doctor was like, you can't go anywhere unless there's a medical personnel with you. You can't catch a flight. I won't let you. Fair enough, I guess. So Pete was like, I'll fly over. He's a paramedic. Bring him back. That night, the hospital closes at 8:30, and there'll be one Thai guy who's sleeping behind the desk to look after you.
Fuck.
So like, I needed the wheelchair to go to the toilet and be like, hey man, I need to go to the toilet. 20 minutes later, you'd get to go to the toilet. It's like, you'd have to plan. So Mo comes in, like, the hospital's closed, and he comes in. I've like just started to shut my eyes, and he's like, oh, hey, like, Tim, wake up. And I was like, hey. And he's like, yeah, man, like, I need to have a talk with you. And like, me and my fever go, oh, he's
Did they have you smashed full of fucking endone and morphine and any of that?
No, paracetamol.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, man,
not
it
even an
fucking hurt.
anti-inflammatory.
Jesus Christ. Dude, waking up halfway through a surgery, that shit hurts. Anyway, we'll get on that. Mo comes in, and he's like, yeah, man, like, I need to have a talk with you. And I'm like, oh, man, can I go to the toilet first? Like, if this is going to be a long talk, like, I'm over this whole situation. And we start having a chat, and he's like, yeah, man, like, you can die. Like, there is a very real chance of you dying. So
because the infection started, just to give people an idea without looking at graphic images, the infection started on your lower left ankle.
Yep.
And it got up to your groin.
Yeah, like the infection traveled up there, but as far as a gaping hole was all of my shin and missing the entirety of the top of my foot.
Yeah.
And he's come in and like, yeah, like, there's a very serious risk of you dying. And he got the doctor to come back because he was like, I need to see all the papers. What have you been treating him with? And I'm in this bed, and all these lights are starting to come on. I'm like, what is going on? And Mo's got this nurse and this doctor, and he's like, what is this? Like, you're treating him incorrectly and everything. Like, that guy saved my life, like, without a doubt, as well as all the people in Australia who got me back. we had first class flights booked because I couldn't get my leg below my waist because of the pain.
Yeah.
That was like one of the things to do with it. So we had to get a wheelchair, and I was like, I can't sit on a plane with my leg down for that long. So, all right, we booked first class flights, and he come in and was like, if you fly the way you are right now, you will die. Basically, like you'll go into...
You just won't make it.
Yeah. So once you like go septic, you got about half an hour to get like all these fluids in you, people to like level you out. You can't land a plane in half an hour.
Yeah.
If you're over the ocean, how are you going to like if you were flying above a runway and you had this shock and you like land the plane, they'd be like, oh, we got you down. And then they got to you. Like, it still probably wouldn't be enough time, let alone a fucking flight back from Thailand. So he's like, right, like we've got to get you on this plane. We've got to get you full of fluids, everything like that. He goes out, gets me the right antibiotics. So the 5 days in hospital where we're paying this god-awfully amount of money for the wrong treatment, he goes and like gets the right stuff, pumps me full of them, and I start feeling a bit better.
Fucking hell.
If he hadn't have rocked up and I got on that flight, and we got on that flight, which is a story in itself, which I guess we'll tell, I'd be dead.
What if you were treated with the right medication the first day you're in that corridor?
Anyone who contracts necrotizing fasciitis, like, this is from the research I've done, 1 in 4 people die.
Fucking hell.
Let alone getting the wrong treatment in a foreign, all of these other factors, like 1 in 4 people die. Like it's a good thing, like I'm a fit and healthy
with
human.
good medical attention.
Yeah, man. Like, there's other stories. Like we just lost a mate as well over Bali who got treated incorrectly. Yeah, he's another fit and healthy. Yeah, rest in peace, mate. But yeah. Thank you, Mo. Like he come along and saved my butt. But so just quickly, and I'm sure we'll touch on it. There's Mo, there's Matt that we've talked about. There's Pete. Like there is 100 people back here. Like.
You couldn't, I mean,
I couldn't single them out, name them all, but like, and when I got back, I found out like the extent that these people went to, and it's just like, gee, like, thank you.
Must have felt good though.
Thank you.
Like it's a testament to your character, obviously, but it's also a testament to the local MMA community.
I think for me, that's a big one because like going through this sort of shit and everything, like the thing that's overwhelming to me, and like this sort of stuff has been my whole life. Like one, taking compliments. I hate taking compliments. Like people doing all this stuff for me, like it's overwhelming to me. Like I don't know how to deal with it. Like that whole gratitude and everything. Like someone
if you didn't grow up with it, like I know you haven't, it's very hard to understand. It always is generally backed by something else.
Yeah.
What do they want from you?
Yeah, growing up and whatnot, it's like there's gratitude there. Like just there's a number of other factors that stop you from receiving it, and that carries on to your adult life and everything like that. Like you become cold, or you just talk jokes about everything. But the amount of that's the overwhelming part. It's not the like, oh, you got to go through rehab, you got to go do this. Like it's more like, holy fucking shit! Like this many people did. Like, do I owe them something? Like, do I? And I had this conversation with Matt in the driveway, like maybe 2 weeks after getting out of hospital. Like, man, like I'm fucking depressed. And like we're chatting about it, I'm like, how do I explain to people? Like, what do I owe them? And he's like, you don't owe anyone anything. And it's hard, you know.
I think what you owe them is to beat him.
Yeah, just keep doing and that's what I'm known for more than fighting is helping people. Like I will always help any like you just stuck, like I'm a mechanic by trade. Like someone was stuck on the side of the road the other day and was like, oh, hey, do you need a hand? And most guys are like, nah, man, I'm good. And you're like, well, I'm actually a mechanic. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, actually, yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool, your synchro's buggered. Like, we just roll it into gear and then off you pop. Like, I'll help anyone. Like, whatever it may be, you know? Like, I'll help mates with their yards, their cars.
And I can imagine you find it really hard to ask for it.
That is the hard bit, you know? But, like, I've got a group of mates, like a very small group of mates that are like a family to me, you know? And they can read me pretty well. Like, you know, you read mates. They'll see when something's wrong and dig enough where they'll just go, right, look, well, let's fix this shit. You know, like, and one of the things that made like Matt Lee and I real close, he had like a bit of an intervention for me when I was like 24 and I was heavily depressed and I was ready to kill myself. And he's like, oh, you know, how far are you along in depression? I was like, yeah, well, I booked a plane ticket to go to Melbourne so no one would know, and then I was going to off myself.
Fucking hell.
And he stepped in on that, as well as a few other mates as well. Like, you know, love him to bits. Like, they can read me well enough to step in. So, like, they know when my mental's not right. It's rough, right? The whole depression thing. The way I learned to deal with depression was what makes a human a human. You know, you got sunlight, you got good relationships, can you protect, you got good food, are you feeling right, like good relationships, good sex, all these biological triggers that make a human. That's how I do my things. And like, I chase a dream. That's what made me happy. Chasing that dream just suddenly got ripped from your hands. It was like, all right, how do I do the best to make myself happy? And it's, dude, this last week, not so much the last 2 days, I was a little bit crook. Jesus, did I get depressed?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I haven't really talked about this to Matter or anything. Like, I brought it up to Kelsey briefly.
Who's your partner?
Yeah, and it's like, holy fuck. Like, it's hitting me more now than ever. Like you said when I walked in, I was like, oh, how's the leg and everything? You know, I see you doing well on Instagram. And then you went, well, how's the mental? And it's like, yeah, fuck. Like,
it's a whole different conversation to ask. And it's really important that people ask that question. And I was very conscious to it. It's like, you know, it's very easy to see you jumping around on Instagram, but what's really hard is to see, okay, when you leave the gym, you know, how's that side of the rehab go? Yeah. When you were over in Thailand, was there a time over there or a time back when it likely did happen when you came back to Queensland, but was fighting or like you were always going to, I'll be back. Was it ever like, did you figure out then that, hey, I'm probably not going to fight again? Or was it when you got back here that you decided that...
It was when I got back here.
So over there, do you think that that's maybe why you didn't panic so much? Because you kind of, I'll be back. And because of your setbacks in life...
It's more I'm always going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, like surgeries, like I've had a lot of fucking nasty shit happen. I've always bounced back and I've always got to come better for it. And I'm sure something in the long term will, because I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But I got back...
So let's talk to me going from hospital to airport.
Yeah, that last day, look, that was a touching day as well. Shout out to all the guys at Bang Tower, all the coaches and all that. Like, they still keep tabs on me. Like, they'll still message me every now and again. George, Frank, Alex, Woody.
We say Alex as well. It's
yeah, like
that's Alex Volkanovski. That's
like Alex Shield.
Oh.
Yeah, no. The jiu-jitsu dude, he's a legend of a guy as well.
There you go. We got to give last names so we can give the right people the right props,
dude.
Because a lot of people, when you mention that name, there's really only one Alex associated with
the
it.
Pound for pound guy. Nah, Alex Shield, man. Like, he's the jiu-jitsu coach over there. He's a surfer. We were at Bangla Stadium one night, so I fought it like 3 times in 6 weeks there, and we were there cornering for someone else. I went with him, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll jump in the corner with you, and he was like on the edge of the railing. We were joking, and Lauren and I were having a yarn. And then Lauren's like, oh, you know, be careful on the edge of that railing there. And you're like, you might fall. And he's like, well, Tim might push me. I know how much he wants my life. I'm like, dude, he set that life up for himself. He's a fucking G, legend of a human being. Like, the jiu-jitsu coach, he surfs. He's living my dream, that motherfucker, and he knows it.
Yeah.
But he's such a good guy as well. And he was all down there. Brad Riddell, shout out. He's a quiet guy, top guy. And they were all down there in the last day. He
looks like an absolute lunatic. Brad Quaker Riddell.
Yeah, like, he's chill.
Because he's a Thai boxer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just off topic.
Yeah,
I think he's had, 100 fights maybe?
Yep. Like, and he's got fights back in the day that I watched in Bangla.
Yeah.
Like, a long time ago. And, you know, like, he come down there, and his partner is also an absolute sweetheart. She even checks in on me. But that last day, they come down there and was like, here's some shirts and everything. And, like, I'm looking at people, I'm like, why is Lauren crying? And, like, why are other people, like, emotional? And, like some of the guys... And excuse me again. I'm sitting in this bed, and I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, there's 12 or so people, and I'm like, this seems big.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm just like, I've got this fever, and I'm like, what are you guys stressing for? Like, I'll be okay. It's me. And like, so we've loaded up into this bus, and Pete and Mo are in it, and they're like, oh, how you feeling? And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking fantastic. Like, I've just got out of this hospital where I woke up halfway through a surgery.
A little bit of sunlight.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel good. You know, like, I'm out of there. So, yeah, we go from there, get to the airport, and like, we're like, all right, how are we going to do this? Because Mo's like, I need you to have 2 IV lines to be able to put that much drugs in you that quickly. Because if something goes wrong, and he's like, something really might go wrong, I need to be able to pump you full of shit.
So he's like got some sort of medication from the hospital to travel with.
Yeah, he went and bought it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and he had a day of training. Like, good on him. He's there for fucking training. And shout out to him, man. He lost a lot of weight as well. He fought on the local scene in Australia. Then broke his leg and had a full comeback.
He's a large human, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got a bigger heart as well.
Yeah.
He's an absolute G. So we've gone from there to the airport, and we've wrapped up my leg to make it look like a break. And then I've got like the Thai, like elephant pants on.
Yep.
And he's like, act cool. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fucking sweet. And like, I'm holding my leg. So it was a bit of a rough go because you've got the end of the Thai pants. I've got to keep my leg above my waist. Otherwise, I'm in excruciating pain.
Yep.
But I'm also pulling on, because like I've lost flexibility, but I'm also pulling on this pants that's pulling on this giant gaping hole in my leg. So it's just like constant pain. And I'm like, can I have a Valium or something? He's like, you got to look good to get on the plane.
Was
and all
it
that.
because they would just put you on a do not fly? Like the commercial airline you travelled with wouldn't let you on the plane?
Well, once you're on a plane, you're the pilot's responsibility. So if I die on there, it's on them.
Yeah.
So
why did you let him on kind of questions?
But once you're on there, you're also the responsibility.
So you just had to get on.
That's it. And we're going through. And I was like, that's pretty crazy. You're in a wheelchair.
First time in first class?
Yeah. Dude, it's not bad, Singapore Airlines, and here's a life hack for everyone. Get a wheelchair and you'll just go straight past the lines. Yeah, man, I'm injured. Woof, off you go.
There's a famous photo while you're in there and Dr. and Mo is holding like an IV.
Yeah, that was on the second flight back. Yeah, dude. So we've gone through and we've got into customs. And like, I wondered, did they know? Because someone from the Australian embassy called the Thai embassy, and I'm like, did the Thai embassy just like tell the airport? But I've got through no problem. Mo got through no problem. Pete's got the bag with the sharps, with the IV lines, with the drugs. Like, are you gonna let that cunt on a plane? Well, like, you're gonna let someone with sharps on a plane? And we're sitting there, I reckon, 5-10 minutes, and they're like going through this bag, and the Thai's like calling these other people over, like, this is the test, like, oh, we've got to get through here. They ended up red flagging him. So, like, the Seccos have just got these eyes on him the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think he might have got red flagged on Singapore Airlines, like, for good.
Now he's just...
Yeah, it's like anytime he goes through, like, he's going to get sussed.
Yeah.
They're like...
So did he get on with it?
Yeah.
So they're like, did he end up disclosing what was going on?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. Well, I think it was like, we went with like, I've got a broken leg, possible infection.
Yep.
On you go.
Yep.
But I'm like, even if you get that, like, should you be allowed on that plane? Like, I'm like, because I know the Australian embassy called the Thai embassy. Did the Thai embassy be like, we got this guy coming through, just get him the fuck out of here?
Did the embassy do fucking anything? Like,
I don't know.
Like, but even trying to like put you on a care flight or something. Like, what does it take for them to bring an Australian, huh?
150 grand.
Fucking hell. That's the care flight.
Yep.
Far
and that's
out.
I'm kind of, I'll say blessed, but I also did this by myself, right? Like, I know a lot of really good people, and a lot of these people are willing to just be like, here's a shit ton of money, we'll fucking make it happen. We had 3 flights grounded, ready to grab me if this didn't work. And like, one of them...
So 3 separate airplane tickets that didn't know about each other.
No, not even airplane tickets, right? Like, we had the airplane tickets, 3 other flights that had stopped.
Oh.
Like in Singapore, in Thailand, like these other places that were like, look, if you can't get on this flight, we'll come fucking get him. Like these, like Make-A-Wish flight. So like Steve James, I used to train his son, Charlie James, and help him with a bit of mental for his football and everything like that. He's a firefighter, and he's the one who's helping me go through this whole process to, carry on to my next dream to be able to help more people become a firefighter. He does the aerial coordination for the fire service. So he knows other people with like, the Make-A-Wish flights. So he was like, all right, I've got these guys getting ready to go. Like, we'll get them over there. Jason had a team that did some sort of charity work. And they were like, all right, cool. We'll get our flight grounded in Singapore, costing them a god-awful amount of money every hour they're staying there. They're like, all right, Tim doesn't get on. We'll get him on there. I didn't know any
Yeah, I
of
was
this.
going to
Like,
say, were you aware of the
I'm
kerfuffle that was going on in the
Man,
background?
I'm just cruising. I didn't even want to look at my phone. Like, I'm just like, thank fuck, I'm out of there. Cruising through the airport, you know, we're settling down. And like, Mo's just like, just try to get some sleep, try to get some rest, do something. I'm like, yep, cool. I don't want to look at my phone. I don't want to look at messages. I'm in pain. I'm trying to get through this. And then there's everyone like shout out to one guy, Devin. I only found this out a week ago, that motherfucker. He saved up a significant amount of money through like eating noodles, like just working 6 days a week. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to buy a house. Finds this out. And he was like, there was a group chat. I think I got to say Matt Lee named the group chat Amputee, that motherfucker. Like, it sounds like a Matt Lee thing to do. In that group chat, Devin's like, yeah, boys, like I've got enough money to get him back. It'll be a hard chat to the missus, but like if something happens, like we'll get him back. Shout out to Devin. Yeah, found out, you motherfucker. Like, and he wouldn't have wanted me to know, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and there's all these people that have done all this amazing stuff that were like, you know, don't tell Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I find it hard to deal with.
I was going to say, and that's sort of where you start to think, why? Like, why am I like that?
It's me, man. Like,
Yeah.
like I get it. Like I help people, but Jesus.
Yeah, so you're flying. You said that was the first flight.
Yep.
So what's the trip back from Thailand to Brisbane?
So we go from there to Singapore.
Yep.
I believe it was Singapore. In there.
Staying in the airport? Didn't leave the airport in Singapore?
Nah, not at all. I think it might have been like a 3-hour stopover.
Yeah.
Because like everything was like coordinated, like get him back as fast as fucking possible.
Are you feeling like shit? No. Like you're feeling pretty good?
Nah,
I'm getting home.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling better than I have the whole goddamn time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I slept on the first flight. Now, keep in mind, the whole time in the hospital, I was like, I'd sleep for 15, 20 minutes, wake up for a couple of hours, sleep for 15, 20, half a tub of yogurt. And it's like convenience store food that I was eating.
Yep.
Like, you're not getting decent food in a Thai hospital. In that Thai hospital, like Bangkok, and that'd be a bit different. But Phuket, yeah, sucks balls. So we're on the second one. Like, I ate some food in Singapore. I'm like, Singapore food is unreal.
Yep.
And I can't stomach that much, but it's all well and good. Mo's getting ready, like all these IV lines and everything, because he's like, as soon as we get on this flight, like you're getting pumped. Like, bang, all that goes in. We get on. Because once you're on, you're the pilot's responsibility. Like, all right, cool, we're taking off. The air hostess is like, oh, did you need me to hold the IV bag up for you? I'm laying back in this, like, in the little pod thing. I've got one leg up on Mo's chair in front of me. He's like, yeah, get some rest. I was like, yeah, no worries, man. Like, and he's like, before we left, he's like, yeah, like if you're feeling a bit shit, like I'll give you a Valium, see if you can sleep. And I was like, no, please, can I please have a Valium? I'm like, please put me out, man. Yeah. Dude, had that, slept the whole flight.
Fuck yeah.
And that was the best sleep I had.
Yeah, I was going to say, waking up must have been like, oh.
But you wake up landing in Australia. I thought I was saved. Yeah. I'm like, that's it, I'm done.
Back to training next week.
Like, in my head. So we've called ahead.
Is it Singapore to Brisbane or Singapore to Sydney?
Singapore to Brisbane.
Yeah.
We've called ahead. We've got other people in Australia, high up medical people in Australia who have called the hospital and like, this guy's got necrotizing fasciitis. He's on the way. 1, can we have an ambulance waiting? 2, get ready. He's coming to hospital. No one fucking believed us. Shit's that rare. We're like, yeah, we've got a 29-year-old professional fighter who's healthy as shit. He's got necrotizing fasciitis.
It's been treated with the wrong antibiotics and we've just had to fly in first class from Thailand to Singapore to Brisbane.
Bullshit does it sound?
Yeah,
anyway.
It doesn't happen much.
Like,
it'll never happen again.
So we've got to the airport and we're like, all right, cool, we need a wheelchair. And we're cruising through and we're like, ask some random, like, hey man, where can we wait for an ambulance? Because they're not here. He's like, yeah, go out the front on the return. So like Brisbane, you've got like the drop-off zone where international drop-off, so you go up this ramp. We're like, wait here. They'll be there.
So someone calling Triple O then?
We were.
Yeah.
Because there was no one there. So Pete is a paramedic. And he's like, yeah, like guys, like what's going on? Where's the ambo and all that? And they're like, oh yeah, it's on the way. Might have been like half an hour.
Yeah.
Every minute counts at this point. And Mo's stressing,
Well, you're his responsibility now.
Yeah, man. And he's like, he's just done all of this shit. He's like, oh, I can't have you die now. And he's stressing. And like Pete's like on the blower again. And it was like what's going like I didn't hear him because he wasn't trying to stress me out. And he told me after we caught up. And he go like if this was like not a situation where we had a doctor and a paramedic. You'd be here, lights flashing, like this is how serious this is. And they go, oh, we've got an ambulance there with only one driver. So if it's one driver, they're not allowed to rock up to a scene because they have to have two. Fortunately, I had a doctor and a paramedic. Yep. So he's rocked up. Like one of them sat in the front seat, Mo sat in the back with me. And we got to the hospital. I'm on that yellow gurney thing.
Just RBH?
Yep. And we're cruising through. Yeah, shout out RBH. And Liz, who like did a lot of the surgery. Like I only found out her name like towards the end of it. Like she saved my bacon. Yeah. So like we're cruising through. And we've jumped out, and I reckon we're about 7th in line to go through. And like Mo's like starting to be like, what is going on? Like no one's gonna believe this. And like we're waiting. We eventually get inside. So there's like the automatic doors, another automatic doors, and like this sort of waiting room before the triage.
Yep.
And like we're sitting there, finally got in that area.
I've been cut open in that room.
Oh man. And like I'm looking pretty broken leg, not death.
Yeah, because it's all cast up, it's all wrapped up.
Yeah. So we're going through and Mo's starting to pace, and this paramedic in front was like, oh, what's wrong with him? And he's like, oh, necrotizing fasciitis. And the guy goes, nah, surely not. And
Probably
like,
never seen it.
He goes, check this out. And he's like, dude, go up to the triage now. And he goes up there, hands the phone over, and this nurse wearing pink looks at this phone and goes,
press the button. Get the bat phone.
Like 8 seconds. She's just... And they're like, yo, get him up here now. So they've wheeled me, like, they've got another patient on a gurney there, and then the triage through there, and they're like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, what's your name? Get me around the back. I reckon 5 seconds. Liz comes screaming around the corner and goes, where's the neck fast? And I'm like, yo, it's me.
Is she a doctor?
Yeah, the surgeon there.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just happy, cheery, just like, yeah, me, like, come on, let's go. She's like, we've already got a theatre being prepped, like, everything's on the go. And I'm like, you guys are pretty efficient. Like, I've been in a hospital a few times and it hasn't been, like, this much urgency.
When shit goes wrong, a lot of people talk about, like, you know, the health system, but when shit goes wrong, man.
Mate, like, yeah. Like, I've known a few medical professionals quite closely as well. And, like, I've heard a lot of stories, you know. Like, I pretty much lived with an emergency doctor for a bit, and yeah, a lot of stories. Anyhow, went around the back, went into the room, and like she's like, everyone's starting to like panic. And poor Mo got fucking drilled for being a good person. So, like, I won't go too much into it, but Mo's like, yep, this has happened. This is what he got treated with, And Liz turns around and goes, how dare you let him on a commercial flight? And he's like, what? And she grills him, and it's like, hang on, no, it's us who booked the flight. You know, like.
Yeah,
he just
he's there to keep me alive on the plane.
He just kept me alive.
Yeah.
And she's grilling, like, you can lose your medical, like, And, like, Mo's, like, a pretty high-up doctor, you know? Like, he knows his shit. So, yeah, we've come through, and Paul, she's like, you know, get out of my hospital,
Far out.
And he was pissed because just before this, she was like, look, I've got to be real with you. You got a 50% chance of surviving this. And, like, that's when the penny dropped for me. Like everything was all good, and then she comes up and was like, yeah, like, you got a 50% chance. And I was just like, fuck.
That's a serious conversation.
Yeah, man. And then she's like, all right, you got to make your last phone calls.
Ugh.
Like, but Mo, like, she's a cool chick, right? But she's a surgeon. She's pretty morbid. And she just got, yeah, like zero emotion, just like, this is how it is. I'm like, yeah, I'd probably prefer it like that, but fuck me. And then Mo's cracked the shit. So it was like, how dare you? Like
is Mo like a GP? Like,
no, like he was a special retrievalist doctor, man. Like, could you ask for anyone
so
better?
That's like, he's
used
trained
to
do what he did for you.
Like,
what are the chances?
Yeah, man. Like, anyway,
who happened to be training in Thailand at the same time,
who happened to know about me, you know, the day before.
Insane, man. So divine intervention, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, man. He's like top guy. Anyhow, so she's like, yep, that. And Mo's like, how dare you say that to him? Like, we've had good conversations. We're mates at this point. And he's like, how dare you say that to my mate? Like, Anyway, go in. I need an x-ray on my leg. Come back out. And then they're like, oh, here's a phone. It's going to start ringing. So, like, I'm starting to get these phone calls. Like, I hadn't spoke to my father since I was 21.
How old are you now?
29.
So
turned 29 in June. So I was in hospital. Yeah. And I've never had a good relationship with any of my family, really. Like,
Yeah, and then you get told you've got to start making some calls.
Yeah, and like these
where do you
people are
start?
calling you, and you're like, to be fair, like it's not my choice to call. You know, people call me. I had a conversation with Matt, and Matt was trying to make me feel good. Like Matt's very similar to me. Like, just won't cry. Don't really. Being emotional is kind of stupid. Yep. You know, you don't make good emotional decisions, so we try not to be emotional. And he called me, and he goes, like had a conversation, and I was like, yeah, man. So there's like a 50% chance I'm gonna die, and he's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, 50%'s not that bad, you know. And I'm like, oh man, you know, if there's a room full of 100 people and 50 of them are getting shot, I don't want to be in that room, eh? And he's like, yeah, fair. Like I was just trying to make you feel better. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. He's like, yeah, well, good luck. And I was like, tell the doctors good luck, man. Like,
yeah, a 50% chance of survival, that leaves maybe a 20% chance you're going to come out with a leg.
Oh, no, they said 90% that I was losing that leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, not good.
Yeah.
And like, because then there's a whole battle. Because I had the battle. I'm pretty cool with dying. Like, if you die, you die, you know? Like, I got taught that by my Nana Rose a long, long time ago. But for me, it was like I could lose my leg.
That bothered you more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I know I would have made it. Well, like I got it said to me after, like, oh, cool, you could have been like a Paralympian. I'm like, yeah, I would have fucking killed it at that. Like, that would have been sick. But,
then you start the wheel still. What sport am I going to...
Yeah, and like, I'm like, fuck. Like, and yeah, obviously dying and like...
Paralympic wrestler, mate.
Yeah, like all of that stuff would be cool. But I up until 24, I never gave a fuck about what happened to me. Like, I was gun-ho. Like,
you almost need that mentality to get to where you were trying to get to, though. You can't get there being, you know, conscious of your health,
like
really.
conservative.
It's like, it's like you've got to be prepared to take a beating,
but
literally.
You got to be smart.
Yeah.
You have to be smart, and I was a fucking idiot. Like, it took me a while to become educated. Like, I'm not... growing up where I grew up, like, you don't have the chance for education.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
Tamworth. Yeah. Tamworth, Newcastle, then went on... I'm sure we'll get into that conversation with partying and everything. But I was a mechanic, and I was a good mechanic. You know, like my brain works quite well, so to say. But I never had the right information to be able to become knowledgeable.
Yep.
But I can pick up on things quite quickly. But yeah, anyhow, like, I was 24, and this is that whole depression thing, and we went traveling, and I was with Matt Lee, and we're in the Philippines. And this is like a penny drop moment for me. Like, changed my life completely. So we were trying to go to this beach. So we got these scooters, and Matt's like just become engaged. You know, he's got his dogs, he's got his family and everything like that. I was like, I moved up here with a backpack.
Yeah.
Like, I had nothing. So I didn't really like give a fuck what happened. So we've got on these bikes, and his bike had shit brakes, and mine was good. I was like, well, I don't give a fuck. And he's like, oh, no, man, like, I want to take this bike back. And he's stressing a little bit. And I'm like, stop being a fucking bitch. Like, just give me the bike. I jumped on it. I'm flying down these hills and everything. And, like, we rode motorbikes, so, like, we're not dumb on it. But, you know, obviously you want some brakes, man. You know?
Yeah. It's so very important. That's 50% of the fucking ride.
Yeah, man. So we get to this beach, and, like, I've kind of got the shits. Matt's upset because I got the shits at him over that. And, I was like, fucking give me the key. Like, I'm going back. Like, it's a fucking hour ride back. I was like, fuck this. I'm going back. And he's like, no, wait, man. Like, let me have a talk. And he was like, you don't get it. Like, other people care about you. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? He's like, if you die, other people are affected. And I was just like, oh. And, like, Matt and I don't get upset. And I'm watching him get upset. And it's just like, oh, fuck.
This is serious.
Like, I've upset you because I put my life on the line. And there was like that moment of like, so as far as the whole dying goes, and like, oh, you got a 50% chance of dying. I was like, I care more about what others think if I hurt their feelings.
Yep.
In that sense. So I'm like, fuck, how many people am I letting down?
Particularly the amount of people that like donated, did all of that, got you all home, and then you die.
And they have all these sleepless nights and everything. Like, a lot of people put in work. Like, I had that accident when I was 20 where I got covered in fuel and flames, swallowed fuel, esophagus swelled up, heart stopped, airlifted from Newcastle to Sydney.
That was the 100% chance of dying part where you did die.
Yeah, like that's the other part. Like, oh yeah, you seem pretty cool through this whole thing. I was like, nah, like, I've been near death, you know. Like it's not the first time. But I was on the table, and there's photos on Facebook of like me messed up. Like my whole face has been lit up, no eyebrows, no eyelash. Funny fact for everyone, your eyelashes, if they get burnt, they singe up and they curl and they become like Velcro. So when you blink, they stick together. Hurts.
Fuck.
I was on the bed getting put into the Westpac helicopter, and my little brother was there because he lived in Medawi. And he comes over and was like he's crying, and he's like, look, they said it's going to be okay and everything. And I'm like, yeah, fuck. Sorry, man. Like, guess I'll let you down. He's like, nah, it's like, you good. And I'm like, yeah, well, sorry, fuck. And like, that was like, I just felt more sorrow, like to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, you can very much tell your personality is the result of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You've obviously become very good at dealing with it.
Yeah.
People shouldn't have to have 2 care flights in their life. Not to. Nobody ever has one, really. So to kind of be in the situation where, all right, I've got to go up in the air now to go somewhere to save my life.
Yeah.
For that to happen twice. So I can see how a little bit of an infection in the leg wouldn't bother you too much. But so you're back at the RBH, and then that's where the real treatment starts.
Yeah. So I had this surgery, and I wake up, and sorry,
You're right,
I've got neck. I wake up and there's no skin on my leg from the bottom of the knee down. So they call it debridement, and they took the skin fascia, muscle fascia, a little bit of muscle.
So this is like ankle to kind of behind your knee?
Yeah, from the top of my foot.
Yeah.
So just back from where the toes are up to the knee. It's about 90% circumferential. But which also takes away a lot of your lymphatic system, which sucks. And yeah, like I had a mate walk in being Trevor, and he was like, fuck, geez, like, oh God, that's your leg. And like anyone that knows Trevor, like the man's a hard man. Like there's not much that'll shake him.
You're seeing the full-blown anatomy of someone's leg.
Yeah. And it's a bit like, whoa. But at the time, I'm on ketamine, I'm on morphine, codeine, some other thing, all intravenous, as well as a PICC line and laughing gas if I need it. And I'm like,
fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's a leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm off my face. So the next day we go in and do the vacuum dressing. That is the worst pain I've ever been in my entire life.
Like 10 out of 10?
I've been through some shit. That breaks the 10 ceiling without a doubt.
Fucking hell.
You know, you go in and, you got a hyper pain tolerance. You know, you're a professional fighter. Like I used to do bonkers stuff. I woke up halfway through a surgery. I've been through Thai hospitals where they cut your skin off while you're awake with paracetamol. I've been through that. This capped it, kicked it out of the park. So the pain doctors there, they got a special team of pain doctors, explained it. Your nervous system is upregulated because of the shit that you've been through. So you come back, and they've cut everything off down to your nerve endings.
So it's just nerve endings. Oh.
That are now compressed by a vacuum seal.
Oh.
So, like, I've had a lot of surgeries in my life. Like, I'm accident prone. And after a while, don't know why I do it, you start playing a game. Excuse me. I usually look at a clock on the wall when I wake up and be like, how quick can I sober up? Like, how quick can I get my bearings and start having a chat to whoever's looking after me? I don't know why I do it. It's just something I do. And I did it. I've still got all this anesthetic in my system, you know, painkillers, everything like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm in pain. And they're pumping me full. And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm pretty good. And they're like, all right, we'll bring him back up to the ward. And we get up there. My little brother's there. And that poor kind of seen me through like the whole burn and everything as well. Oh, dude, I feel so sorry for him. So I start, I guess, sobering up. And I've got all these painkillers and that coursing through me. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in a bit of pain here. Like in some serious pain. And over the next hour, 2 hours, like, it just starts ramping up. Like, I'm like, this just is not correct. Like, this is not right. And I'm like calling nurses. I'm like, look, dude, this is getting serious. Like, I'm in some pretty severe pain. They're like, you know, on a 10 scale. And I'm like 7, 8. Like, it's getting there. And like, I'm hitting this PICC line. Come on with the drugs.
That's like on a time release thing, hey?
Every 5 minutes. Yep. And like, I got some decent level of drugs in there. And a lot of like different ones as well. And this pain just gets to this out of control. And I'm like, look, I need this laughing gas. And I'm sucking this laughing gas. Sorry, I keep burping.
You're right.
And so I'm sucking this laughing gas in. I ended up, they wanted to do another surgery. I've just come out of it to put in a nerve block. So I'm getting ready to go down there. I took 3 hours, I think we waited. But this pain, I've never felt anything like it. When my heart stopped the first time from all the throat swelling and that, when I was burnt, like I had like a bit of a DMT experience, to put it simply. Like the whole universe kind of like went into a square ball.
Life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah, like poof, it goes off, does its thing. I had this, but a pain version.
Fuck.
I was like, obviously you got ketamine and laughing gas.
Yep.
So you're sucking that in. You kind of tripping balls already. And then I've got this like pain trip where all I can feel is just pain. Like it just takes over my reality. I'm bawling my eyes out. They're like, you need to show that you can pee before surgery. Otherwise we got to put a catheter back in. And my little brother's hanging on to me while I am just like, he said it changed his life forever.
How many days after this, like from when you arrived in?
Maybe like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3.
So you were kind of used to back being, you were kind of home. You were.
Yeah. Like I cannot describe this pain. Like it is by far the worst thing I've ever been through.
Yeah, it gives me shivers.
Yeah, so
seeing you talk about it, man, I can see that it's like a little bit of PTSD there, and
dude, it was rough. So they've started wheeling me back down, and I'm real fuzzy about what happened here. I was told that, excuse me again, like it was cardiac arrest, which then I got later explained to me, like this is what that means. I'm like, I'm super fuzzy on it. Like Matt Lee was like, oh, heart attack, No one ever, but I went down there. I vomited just from like the laughing gas. I've choked on my own vomit. I've convulsed and But I saw white and woke up. Like I felt like, for me, I reached the maximum level of pain my body could tolerate.
And then
I saw white and then I woke up in my room. That's what I remember. And
far out.
When I woke up,
and you're not really too sure what happened during.
There was a lot of shit going down. Like a lot of nurses was like everyone heard on that floor. Everyone heard what was going on. Like, and I'm like the MMA fighter of the ward, you know? Like
I'm the toughest bloke in the building.
Yeah, man. And like I'm bawling my eyes out and everyone down the hallway can hear me. Anyhow, we get back there and all of the pain medication I want has just been doubled.
Yeah.
It's like nurses would come in and we call it a Christmas tree. Because there's like different infusions and they're like all lighting up.
The fact that you have a name for it
like
is a testament to what you went through. We call it Christmas tree.
Yeah. So like they'd come in and like they'd be like, oh, what do you want? Whoa.
I'd be like, that bag's empty.
Really? And they're like, But like when I woke up, because of like it's got to be the ketamine, right? The amount that was pumping through me, I'm like, man, I feel pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
it's probably a good time to like tackle some demons.
So
some ketamine therapy.
Yeah, I think the original question that started all of this was like, you know, when did all the mental health sort of things start? I was on that ketamine for 4 or 5 days, and I was slowly weaning me off it. The last day that I was on it was a Wednesday. They took it off me about 10 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock that day. That's when I looked at my leg. Yeah, so the question was like, you know, when did you go, oh shit? I looked at my leg and was like, fuck, like this is real.
Yeah.
Like everything, like it felt like this, like I was in this like weird veil, whatever it was, and everything just went poof.
Penny literally dropped.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this leg like, holy shit. I'm having a conversation with the doctor and like, obviously, you know, I packed up my entire life to move there to chase a dream. Then it's gone. And I'm talking to these doctors. I'm like, you know, what will I be able to do in the future? What, like everything's uncertain. I'm like, will I be able to like kickbox? And they're like, no, like not for a long, long time. Like if I hit that shin, like it splits. Like a dog headbutt me, it split. Like a dog.
Well,
you've got
my leg. So you've got they've taken skin from your thigh, your left thigh, and you basically just graft your entire. You could say that the entire knee to toes is skin graft.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So and they graft to the bone. So any time that skin has to stretch, it splits.
There's no stretch in your skin, hey?
Yeah. So
you could basically flick it open if you... That's the sort of...
Yeah.
There's no chance you're going to kick anything.
Castor the dog, I was patting him. You know, Staffies wag their heads as well as their tail. His head split it open.
Blood.
I was sweeping. It dropped the broom wrong. Bang. Opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
penny drops.
yeah, I've had a conversation with the doctor. You know, this can't happen. And there's a bloke in there who's like, oh, you know, like, I've followed your story. He worked there and whatnot. And he comes in and is like, yeah, man, like I've seen what you've been through before. Like, I think you can get back there. And I'm like, oh, man, like, you don't get it.
Did any social workers kind of link in with you at this stage?
It kind of pissed me off a little bit. So he's there and he's like, yeah, you can do it. And I'm like, you don't get it. And he's like trying to remain positive and he leaves. And I think I cried for about 3 hours.
Because you're starting to realise that, hey, this is done.
I was like, oh, fuck, my life's over. Like everything, like every waking moment that I've spent for since I moved up here, this one goal.
We just spoke about 4:30 a.m. All of that home.
Yeah.
8:30. A few hours sleep.
No birthdays. Like I've lost relationships, partners because I've put fighting first. Like I've quit jobs. Like I don't go out celebrating. I don't drink. I don't do all of these things all for this one goal. And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And like nurses and that are coming in like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, they're like, is there anything we can do? And I was like, there's nothing. Like there is nothing anyone can do for this. And I was like, I'm going through depression and everything like that. And then I was a coach for a long time. So you got a lot of young men who come in, you know, a lot of young male fighters, you know, we're all a bit troubled. So like as a coach, you go through these things, you've got ways of dealing with it. You have to help other people. You kind of know the telltale signs of when like depression's coming or what it feels like or how to deal with it. And I was like, I need a therapist. Like I need a psychologist. I need someone to talk to. Yeah. Like, can we please make this happen?
Particularly if you were to take a rugby league player that's had a catastrophic injury, the first thing that's kind of happening is a sports psychologist is coming through with teaching them, okay, this is your new life now, and this is how I'm going to help you deal with it. These are the tools you can use.
Yeah.
But when you're a professional MMA fighter that's, you know, doesn't have the financial backing, doesn't have the resources to do so, and you're just in the public system, sure, they've saved your leg. That's kind of what they're there to do.
Yeah.
They're not there to see what life is like for Tim from here on out. It's up to Tim.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's nuts. So they brought in a person, a lovely lady, and she was like, yep, we had a 40-minute conversation. You know, like, I was like, look, I'm not right. Like, all of my dreams, everything like that, they're all gone. Everything that I've packed up my life to try to do. Had a 40-minute conversation. He goes, oh, so I'm going away, so I won't be here for 4 weeks. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah.
Like,
you're not coming back tomorrow?
I have trouble enough already opening up to people, and I just did with you, and you tell me that you're gone? I'm like,
yeah,
cool. What the fuck do I do? And then I went to book an appointment with my GP, who is also on holidays, because I do need to set up someone to talk to.
I have someone for you.
Yeah, I want to start talking to a therapist because, like, I'm still on sleep medication for it all. I did try to wean myself off it, and I was getting like a lot of nightmares. Like I'm still in pain. Like it's hard to get a good night's sleep, and if you're not sleeping, you're not recovering. You're not sleeping, like you get depressed.
Can I ask what they're giving you?
Temazepam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still benzo.
Yeah.
It's still addictive. I'm like, say last night I was going to bed, for example, and I was like, fuck, like I hope I have them in the car. And like I stressed a bit.
Yep.
And I went down to my car to get them, and I just went, fuck, like I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Like I need them to sleep. Like,
been there, bro.
Oh man, like whether you need it, like, oh cool, because you're in pain. Like either way, I don't like having that as a thing.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and there's times, and I like outside of my immediate family, I was like still knocks, Ambien.
Yeah.
There's times where I was taking 14 tablets a night, man. Like huge amounts.
Yeah. Doctor
shopping, pharmacy shopping, like getting cut off. Managed to pull myself out of that hole, but I've been right there, man. I know exactly how you feel. It's fucking terrible. And even trying to find someone to talk to, bro. Like, unless you got a hook, like you got to hook up, you've got someone that can see you. You've just sit on a wait list for fucking 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then how do you get off a benzo in the public system? You don't.
Yeah, man.
You kind of end up in this. I mean, out of everything, you know, you'd probably rather be hooked to the benzo than maybe the pain medication. You know?
Just getting a good night's sleep is nice.
That's probably more important in the short term.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you can cross that bridge when you need to. Right now, it's about getting stability in your life, getting used to how life is now, and then fucking worrying about that in the future.
But like, you look at I can't remember if it's Dr. Matthew Walker. I think it is like the sleep
doctor.
expert. Yeah. Like any sort of benzos or anything like that, THC, alcohol, like you're not getting any sort of REM sleep. No. And I've noticed, like, I didn't have the best memory to begin with. You know, I got punched in the head for a long time. But I noticed, like, a lot of short-term memories in there. Like, you're not getting your REM sleep. You're forgetting things like, someone asked me...
Your unconscious is what's sort of happening. If you look at it scientifically, you're not sleeping. You're kind of putting yourself unconscious.
Yep.
And you're not there, but kind of your brain's still going.
And you're still storing all those memories. And it was someone at the gym this morning asked me, it was like, so what'd you do yesterday? I saw you over Northside. And I was like, the fuck did I do yesterday? Like, shit. Like, I'm not getting punched in the head. My memory's still there, but I'm like, how come I don't remember that? I'm like, I'm taking benzos every fucking night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, these are things I got to learn to deal with in the future and whatnot. And, like, I was always pretty good with sleep hygiene because I've always been a terrible sleeper. Like, blue light glasses, no TV. We have lamps on in the house. I stretch. You know, I don't have coffee after 10 o'clock, which I'm trying to even cut down more.
Yep.
But
do you try to employ any kind of meditation, mindfulness, or anything like that?
I'd say, yeah, like I stretch a lot and like I focus on my breathing there, like box breathing. And then there's steps after that, like, you know, Andrew Huberman, go down that path. And there's a few people who have helped me out as well with like the breathing techniques. The guy who looks after Dave Wood, City Kickboxing Team, like he's reached out to me and everything like that.
Yep.
But it's still like I'm scared when that stops. I've got 4 of these pills left, and I'm like starting to dread.
Are the doctors like starting to say, "Hey, we don't really want to give you this anymore"?
They
or is it still very accessible for you, or are the doctors saying, "Hey, we're not going to give you any more of it"?
Well, I've only had to have 2. So the first lot that I was on were antidepressants, and they were messing with my mental. Like I was not.
What were they called?
I don't even remember.
Yep.
Like I've still got them at home, and I was chatting to one of the surgeons, and he was like, "Yeah, we call it a dirty drug because it hits so many different receptors. Like it can screw up a lot of different things. So like I'll put you on temazepam," and I went through the sheet of that, which there's like 30 or so, and then I've just got another one which I'm just about finished from my GP. Which, look, to be frank, I'm probably going to call up and be like, "Hey, mate, like." It's either this or I don't sleep and I've still got to sleep because I need to recover.
And that's kind of where I think, not the ask for it, the advice of trying to find that stability outside of all of that. Like, because just getting to know you in the few hours we've spoken, I can very much tell that, hey, like you don't enjoy taking that and you want to be in the perfect position where I'm not taking any of that. Life's fucking perfect. But you're still dealing with like, you know, a physical injury that if it was a spinal injury, anything like that, you can be forgiven for needing to rely on something else to sleep. And if that's something that you take for the next fucking 12 months and cross that bridge, then I don't think you should feel bad about it, man.
But like, is the bridge harder to cross in 12 months?
Yeah, and it very well could be. But I think that in the short term, man, sleeping, like fucking hell, man. Like,
it's a cornerstone for everything.
Yeah.
Like,
but the addiction side of things, that longing for it and the getting... and the worrying when you don't have it, that's something that you can start to work on almost immediately.
I've got I'd call it more of a extreme personality rather than addictive. And a lot of people do mistake too. Like back in Newcastle, like I used to take a lot of drugs, like every night. And there was a period of my life where I was just kind of like trying to wear myself out. Like I didn't think I was going to live past 25. So I was trying to run myself into the ground.
That's fucking insane, man. Like, I didn't think that's loose. That's such a loose thing to say.
Like, that was it though. Like, I didn't have a care factor for living.
Now, do you think that you didn't have a care factor for living because you thought no one cared about you?
Yeah. There was it was after a breakup. And then like, I just started going out in town, and then like you start doing drugs every night, and then like you're not sleeping and your brain gets so muddled up, and like you just end up in this circle that you shouldn't be in. Like I was a fun guy and everyone loved me, so everyone wanted to be around me when I was out there, and I was like, fuck, you know, like you're going from school, which is still fresh when you're 19 and 20. School's still fresh, and school was fucking terrible. I fucking hated school. I went to about 24 different schools. I was bullied throughout a lot of them. Never really had any friends. I always had
That
like
just
one
comes
or two
down to
friends.
the stability. You know, you're not there long enough to make friends.
Yeah, and like I fucking hate it. And they're like, oh, you want to come to like a year 12 reunion? And I'm like, I'll chin every fucking motherfucker there. I hate the lot of you. I'm like, all of those cunts, like, you know, they're all in the same town. Like, you've got what, 3 kids by the time you're 24, still on the dole?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like,
I feel you, man. I've had a chip on my shoulder. Like, I dropped out of school in grade 9.
Yep.
There was a particular teacher there that told me that I'd never amount to anything, right? But I just got to a point where, and this is such a fucking kind of a thing to say, but I was like, and this has happened recently, and it was the most rewarding thing where I made her year's salary in 4 weeks.
Yep.
And I'll never be anything, but I just made your year's salary in weeks.
if anything, just a fuck you to her.
Yeah, and it's like that chip on my shoulder is what kind of got me into a position that I am now. Never really got to go down the athletic route, but it's very similar to how I got this chip on my shoulder. I got so many people to prove wrong.
Dude, that's it. That's the big one. Like, well, a big one. I shouldn't say the big one, but like, just proving those motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Like,
there's nothing sweeter, man. It's the John Wick mentality.
Like, there is that. Like, you could go there and chin all of them, or you could just make them look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like the I can always get it. Cara France.
Yep.
And he said that recently the bully came up to him and said, "Oh, like I've been following your journey. I'm glad." And he said to him, "You're lucky I don't like chin you right now." And then moved on.
Like,
because eventually they all become fans, man.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. And then like,
because they're all saying, I knew all these people that bullied Tim. They're all saying, I know Tim now. I knew Tim. I was friends with Tim. I went to school with Tim.
So I get it. People were idiots when they're younger. And like, yeah, it's cool to say sorry, but you fucking changed someone. Like, you gave them a lot of shit. Like, I'll never forgive anyone that did anything like that to me. Yeah. Like, good on you for saying sorry, but you can stay the fuck away from me.
And imagine if social media was like, you know, you're a similar age to me. We didn't really go through a lot of the social. MySpace was at the end of it all.
Bullying that would come with that.
Imagine if you sort of had to, man, 3 o'clock used to come around and I could run home and that would be it until 9 o'clock the next morning.
Yep.
But I'd fucking play Midnight Club on PlayStation 1 and I'd be all good.
Yep.
But we kind of knew, but it was that little bit of relief you got, man. Dude, but with social media.
Assassin's Creed was my fucking escape. Like, books, like, you've got that whole school thing and you're just like, all right, I've just got to get through this day until I get home. Like, every day shouldn't be like that, especially for a kid. No, developing
and
brain.
it is changing, man. Like, it is, we are getting to it. But I've got 3 little girls. One of them is in prep, and she just started prep. When she started prep, man, I realized, fuck, there's a lot of shit that I haven't dealt with, and it's like I'm looking around, dropping her at school. I'm like shaping up 6-year-old bullies, man.
You're like, is she gonna be all right? Yeah.
And it's just like that, where it's like, fucking hell, there's some trauma there that I didn't deal with.
I've got to cross that bridge if I ever have kids as well. You know, like, I've been seeing Kels now for a little bit. And
we should talk about, obviously, it was really traumatic in hospital, but something good that came out of it.
Yeah, man. Kelso, shout out. But I fucking love annoying her. I've known her for a long time, like maybe 3 years or so. One of my very, very good mates, Craig Callahan, I knew him from back at Integrated. Like, so I've always looked after these, they've looked after me, looked up to these boys. So my whole friend circle always has something that I admire. Like, you are who you surround yourself with. Yeah. Like,
you're an average of your network.
Right. No one has to be perfect, but like, people have good characteristics, and Craig's one of them. Craig's one of the people I look up to. Like, I moved up here. He knows this now, but I never had shit. I always wanted an Xbox sort of thing. So I started working. I was living on a blow-up mattress, like just that sort of dumb shit. And I had a PlayStation, and I sold it to buy a ticket to make sure I could come watch him fight. Like, I remember him finding that out and was like, "You fucking idiot. Like, I would have just given you a ticket." But like, these are the guys like coming up, like, I always idolize, and like, now we're all closest mates. So like, I've always looked up to these guys, and he's now engaged to Ainsley, another beautiful human being. So Ainsley's sister is Kelsey. And
you're now partner.
Yeah. So we were at Christmas, New Year's one day, and like, I just saw her passing by. So like, I knew of her, and then she was in the hospital and whatnot, and it just kicked off. And like, I've never I guess that whole growing up, gratitude and everything like that. Like I've had a lot of trouble with like that connection. Like, and so far I've never felt anyone like that I've felt that connection with.
I wonder if it's
really
because of where you were mentally, like your barriers were down.
Yeah.
Like your barriers, you were in a position, you were vulnerable, you know.
Could be.
It was kind of, you also needed someone.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Yeah, like I've got Matt, I've got Trev as far as needing people and that goes, but like just super similar. Like I'm a quirky guy. Say that. So she. Like there's all these like and just similar outlooks. Like I judge a lot of people by the way they treat their dog.
Yep.
Above anything, and like I met a dog and I was like, oh fuck, you're a good dog mom. Like the sweetest dog mom, and I'm like, fuck, you're a good person. Like. Obviously, I think she's gorgeous. Like, she's got the right attitude for life. Like, she works. She's just a good person. I'm like, fuck. Like, I like good people. I'm a good person. You're just trying hard as you can to do good. I'm doing the same. Yeah. So as far as like good things that have come out of this, like that is definitely up there with like one of the best for sure.
Yeah.
See that whole gratitude. Like, it's still strange for me to talk about. Like. But yeah.
Are you still coming to terms with, like, have you come to terms with the fact that the dream's done?
I don't know.
Yeah. And you probably won't, because when did you get out of hospital, roughly?
June, maybe 26 or something. And
so a couple of months ago.
Then I went back in on July 7th for the skin grafts.
Is there more to go? Or are you kind of done?
Laser surgery to try to loosen up the scar a little bit.
Yeah. So just to give you some more mobility and things like that.
Yeah, because the scar itself is like 2 centimeters thick down the ankle.
Fuck.
Because of all the movement, it breaks down, repairs. And when the collagen lays over the top of each other, it gets thicker.
Yeah.
So that thickness stops a lot of mobility. Like, it sucks. Like, it's painful. So they spam lasers in there to try get a bit more movement.
Yeah.
Try to cut some of it. But eventually they might even cut that scar away. Try to start again.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Which would mean what, more skin grafts?
No, they just cut it right down and let the scar mature again, but hopefully in a thinner manner.
So you mentioned that you wanted to be a firefighter. Was that something you intended to do after the fighting?
Yeah, it always was.
Yep.
So since we lived in Medowie for a little bit, where my little brother still is, and they had a rural fire service. So I went to a self-defense martial arts school because I've always loved martial arts. Like since year 2002, I want to say, like watching like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and I was into the whole parkour. And then you watch Jackie Chan, he was doing that, and Jet Li, like all those sort of films, and
Tony Jaa, Ong Bak.
Yeah, man, like all of that sort of stuff.
That was one of the main reasons I started doing Muay Thai. I was like, this motherfucker,
dude, it's all gangster.
Yeah,
and like the idea of like having technique that could beat everyone. So like I went down and started training at this school, and like further developed that whole love for martial arts. But I used to always go past the Rural Fire Brigade, like. Along with I didn't really have friends in that, but I used to just hang out at certain places, and the fire station was one of them. And like I'd just hang around the trucks and do all that sort of stuff, and what's
this fucking little dude doing?
Yeah,
what is he doing?
man. Like I've met a few people doing that sort of stuff, but I love helping people as well. Like I get a lot of my happiness from seeing other people happy. As well as punching them in the face, it's more my mates I punch in the face, like that makes me feel good there. But like I love helping people.
Yeah.
Like, is there a job there's I could be an ambo, but I'm like it's just not really my thing. Like I needed something a little bit more risk. You could be a police officer, but I'm like nah, I break the law a bit too much for that, man. Yeah. I'm like, cool. What else can you do to like really help people? There's a little bit of risk, there's a little bit of excitement there, sort of thing. It's not your normal job. The idea of a normal job just scares the fuck out of me.
Dude, it's my biggest fear. It is my biggest fear. I've had a couple of real jobs, but my biggest fear, the shit that keeps me up at night, is having to go back to like
sitting in traffic along with everyone else, and you're like, oh, I gotta find a way to pass it. Like you got like you're in Brisbane, right? Like the traffic is horrendous. You get a motorbike. I've been hit by a car on a motorbike like 3 fucking times. Like it's dangerous.
If anyone's gonna get in a bike accident, it's fucking you.
I got a couple of scars from that as well. One of them was a week before a fight, and Cam O'Neill, so he's the guy who like runs Eternal. It's like,
why are you riding a bike a week before a fight,
like,
bro?
Yeah, dehydrated and everything. And we're at the back, and when I'm getting my hands wrapped up, and Adrian's like, so I heard you come off your motorbike. And I was like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you. And he's like, yeah, Cam told me. He's like, what? And I was like, you got in a scooter accident in Thailand like a week before your fight on one championship, and you still did it. He's like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so still went ahead, did that. But,
did you win?
Yeah, I did.
No harm,
yeah. That fight I won. Yeah, head kick. So, getting to work. Like, you got an hour commute to work. Like, you lose an hour of your day there. Like you don't even get that many hours in the day. Then you got to spend it all day making some other cunt money. Then you got to drive home. Like, dude. Rough, dude. And, like, for what? Like, what sort of money are you earning? Especially now where everything's so expensive.
It's a weird little... Man, it's like
it's a trap.
I've got my opinions at school, bro, but it's a little machine to keep people in position.
What has happened?
Because when you run your own business, you can mitigate. There's a bunch of different ways you can mitigate your tax. There's a bunch of different ways you can pay less tax. There's just your opportunity. Once you start to make money, making money becomes really easy.
Yep.
But it's like that first little step, man. Everyone's just taught that it's so difficult. And one thing that I notice heaps of, everyone's like, find your passion. And that's just equally as your passion can be not having to go to fucking work every day. Like that can be your passion.
Yep.
You don't have to find this specific thing. I like sewing, so I'm going to start a clothing label. No, you could you could go be a real estate agent, make as much money as you can, and then spend 6 hours of the day sewing.
Yeah.
And that's, you can start a business in whatever the fuck you want, and it can enable you to do whatever you want to do. And it's like this podcast, for example. I don't make a cent off it, but I fucking love doing it.
Yeah.
I would never sit down for 2 hours and talk to you. And it's like, maybe there's some things there where I'm just trying to force people to be my friend.
But dude, if it's your passion, you found another way to make enough money to be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's like, that's another thing Matt and I put our heads together and come up with when I was depressed. Like, what do you want to do? It was like, I love training. I like surfing. I like hanging out with friends and eating good food. And I'm like, if you can spend 3 to 4 days of your week doing that and the other time making money to be able to do that, it's not a bad life. Look, I don't agree. And like, it's kind of hippie for me. I went through my hippie stage in my early 20s and all that. Like, I don't like society. I don't like the way it works. I don't like that we have to go to 9 to 5 work.
Neither do I.
Like, look, it's been proven that there's morning people, night people. Society doesn't even cater for night people. Like, how is that fair? I'm not one of them, thank fuck. But I feel sorry for the people that are. Like, Matt Lee's a night person. That's where we will clash at home. I was like, I'm up at 5:30. Like, let's get some shit done. And 10 o'clock at night, he's like, I'm ready to vacuum. And I'm like, fuck off, man. It's like, it's not fair on him for that. Like, that's another reason society sucks. Like, why do we have to go and work for money? Money is not even fucking real. Why do we have to go and work for someone else to get money just to... Why do we have to pay to live?
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
Off topic a little bit here, but like, that's just bonkers to me.
Oh, well, it's just, I think if you can spend your time, majority of it, doing something you enjoy doing.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, man, there's people out there that work 9 to 5 that thoroughly enjoy their job, and there's fucking nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be driven by money.
Kelsey's one of them.
Yeah.
Like, she loves working.
Yeah. Like, there's people out there, and if it isn't making you happy, it's fucking crazy, but you're still forced to sit there and go, if I don't do this, I've got all these liabilities, and my life's going to it's the imaginary X's and O's in a bank account that's going to ruin my opportunities to go and fucking buy a house.
Imaginary X and O's. Like, the easiest way to make money is to realize, like, money's just not real. Like, I should quickly clarify, like, it's not that bonkers to me. Like, I understand we have to work as a society. I'm not an idiot. Like everything has to work together, but like, it just sucks.
Well, it shouldn't be, there should be more opportunity to, there's other ways to make money, and it's not spoken of very much. You've got these young people coming up on TikTok making fucking thousands of dollars making videos, but it's like, 5 years ago it was gaming. You could never make money off gaming, but now you can make money off gaming.
You can make a lot of money.
It's 2023. The barrier of entry between Tim making no money and Tim making a heap of money, it's not hard.
Yeah.
You can learn every fucking thing online now. If you want to learn to play guitar in 6 months,
that is a cool thing about it, man.
Yeah, you can learn anything. And skills these days, like the AI stuff that's around, you can start a business, then jump onto AI and let that run your business for you. And then you get to a point where, all right, you grind for a couple of years, then you start hiring the right people behind you, and then you start to delegate tasks, and then it goes from, okay, I was working 8 hours a day to 6 hours a day. 2 years later, you're working 3 hours a day, then 2 hours a day. Then you can start to work on other businesses, and you start to
get that ball rolling, and things just start to happen.
And I'm a massive fucking advocate, man. Anyone comes to me and goes, hey, I want to start a business. It's like, I will sit there and go, this is how you do it. This is how you monetize whatever the fuck you come to me with. I'll figure out a way to monetize it. That I'm not good at punching people in the head, but I know how to fucking make money off selling ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's that's my skill set. It took me a long time to realize that, though. I was fucking tormented for not sitting, in that circle. So always told, get a job. Hey, stop being a bum. Get a job. Little did these people realize I was sitting on a computer, just consuming the fucking internet, learning everything. Man. And just, I've probably listened to every single episode of Joe Rogan, 10,000 hours of that shit. And you start to rewire your brain into into slightly different things. And that's like the internet influence, the internet raised me.
You've got all the information at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Like
you were saying with fighting. It's like if you, in the UFC, for example, if you're fighting someone, there might be fucking 20 fights you can watch, plus all of the training vlogs.
Did you hear about Jack
probably...
Jenkins? And one of his fans messaged him about the cut
with the elbow. Insane,
man.
Hey, I've watched X amount of his fights. The only fight that's been stopped was the one that he hit, and he's like, I forget his name, but he was, he's like, hit him with the elbow. Yeah. And he's like, fuck yeah, it's split,
in the middle of fight. I was like, cause I was going to bring this straight back to fighting as well. Like, the thing for fighting with me, like, it's as simple as doing it. Yep. Like, skills are not hard to acquire, like you just got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I was passionate about fighting, so it was very easy to put in the work. So this is where I'm at now. What do I want to do? Like, I want to be a firefighter, but like, man, the selection process to get in is hard. Thankfully, I know a few people and whatnot. Like, I've already started my process there, but like, that might not work.
But there also could be a lot of people that know people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's what are you up against? I'm sure there's people out there that can get you through that front door, but it's like, okay, I've now got to walk around and find the fucking bedrooms and get myself around the house. Kind of thing,
It's like, I don't mind it in a sense as well, because I do like that next challenge, always having that next challenge. But like, I do know people who are already in it, and I'm starting to do my visits and everything around. Like, that is one I want to pursue. Like, if there is a job that I have to do, I want it to be that. Like that, and I'm restoring cars as well. I don't mind that. Not so much because I'm mad about cars, but I like fixing things.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And that's another thing, man. Like, there's heaps of... I think it's really important to identify if you want to, like, make money or if you want to have fun and enjoy what you're doing and have, like, passion about it, or it's like... Because... firefighting's such a fucking rewarding job, man. And you can kind of scratch the itch, and it depends how you're brought up. You can be brought up to be told that, hey, pay your bills, that sort of stuff, or it can be, money makes life easier, blah, blah, blah. And money sort of gives you freedom and whatnot, but it doesn't make your life any easier, because the fear of losing it is far greater than the fear of never having it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's you sit there and you go, fuck, man, I just want all this money. And you kind of start to make money like, fuck, I hope I never don't have this money. And it's the worst feeling to have.
I've always had this conversation with myself, because like, I expected fighting to be done at like 34. Yep. I've just turned 29. Bit early.
Like, that's a young age to stop fighting.
34.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be with someone who hung around.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it as far as I could. Like, obviously, if you're world champion at 34, fucking ride that bad boy out. But not like as soon as you feel your body starting to not keep up, sail off into the sunset. Don't become one of those guys who stick around and be a journeyman. But
yeah, just start slowly
knocked
out every
losing
few
your
fights,
brain
and
cells,
then,
man.
then your chin's glass,
like,
and you just
I've never been chinned, thankfully, you know. But like there's always that conversation. What do you do after? Like I've met a wonderful person in Kelsey, you know, like. Ideally, in the long term, that settles down. That becomes a cool thing. But like, you got the future. Like, you got to have a job where you're not depressed to go to work every day, but you make enough money to support you, to support other people. Like, obviously, it's 2023. She's making her own money, but like, you know, you got to work as a team. Like, you've got to figure all this shit out. And you're like, oh god, it's time to start making some adult decisions. Because like, whatever you settle into now, it's like, hey man, like that could be it.
And well, it's been so drastic. Up until fucking 4 months ago, you never had to think about it.
No.
The decision was made for you.
Just chasing my dream, man.
Yeah. You'd just finished your apprenticeship and you're a few years out kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
now I'm just time to get to work.
That was it. Like, that was where life was. So, like, dude, like, the guys that I was sparring with over there, and, like, you know, like, toot my own horn, like, I was doing very well against. Like, they've gone on and they've just won one of them's just won 3 fights in the PFL in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, fuck.
Like, that was where I was, and that's the shit thing to think about. Like,
yeah,
like I do love, yeah, man. Like, I love performing, and that was before I left. It was like, you know, why are you putting so much time? I was like, I don't ever want to have the what if. I want to give it my everything. Look, if it failed and I gave it my everything, cool. I do find a little bit of comfort in that. I was like, I did give it everything. Didn't pan out, but I gave it everything I had.
You also didn't quit though.
Nah.
Yeah, and that's there's you know, it's a gracious way to go out. You know, it's not like you went, you know what, I couldn't fucking make it, and now I'm, you know, you're still a fighter.
Yeah, like anyone that like, yeah, I'm not soft by any means. You know, like there's zero quit.
Is there an opportunity to box?
Could be.
Like that would that, you know,
like
obviously be tough, but fuck.
I've already made my pro boxing debut. You know, I fought twice as a pro.
No limit card, fucking.
Like, I wouldn't mind if some other MMA guy, because they are too, like, I fought a boxer, like an actual boxer, and I was like, oh, this is boxing.
Yeah, it's a different game, isn't it?
I'm not a bad boxer now that I've boxed him, and, like, I understand boxing a bit more, but, like, holy shit, man, like, it's a different ball game. Until
you kind of try to hit a boxer, you don't understand. You can't hit it. It's just like, where are you?
They jab you on the way in and jab you on the way out, and you're like, Jesus, like, the jab, oh my God, like that changed my MMA game, like learning about the jab. The most I've learned in fights is when something stung me with it.
Yeah.
Like my takedown defense got amazing after I fought Cody and couldn't take him down. I was like, why couldn't I take him down? Oh, figured that out. I fought Hayden in boxing and he jabbed my head off. Like, oh, cool. Like, and dude, boxers, the bigger gloves. Like, I hit him hard enough with MMA, I know I would sleep people.
It's a whole nother thing to get used to,
and his head just goes, boom, back on the jab. And you're like, what the? Like, I don't know. And it's like constant brain trauma. Like, race car driving, NFL, boxing is all far above MMA as far as CTE goes. I got no interest in it. Like...
And it's like, fucking hell, man. Even when you were fighting, it probably wasn't as spoken about anywhere near as much as it is now.
Yeah.
Like, it's really starting to get some traction. And I do worry, and there's fighters now that I see. And I'm like, oh, man.
Max Holloway cough. But, like,
dude.
Dude, there's people on the local scene, man. I'm like...
That's probably more what I'm talking about. There's people in the local scene where it's like, I know you haven't made money from this.
Yep.
But here you are, like, kind of slurring, and it's like, dude, was it really worth it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, making
to walk out in Mansfield
decisions.
Tavern, like, fucking hell, bro.
Yeah. Look, I've been cut, but I haven't really had any serious head. I've had one from my old coach, and that, you know, shit happens sort of thing, but that's one.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. Like, I learned to move my head pretty early on.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't move my head, I'd just take someone down. Like, I do not like brain damage.
Yeah. Well, the goal is to fucking not get hit. I don't think anyone likes getting hit.
That's it. There's no points for being tough, cunt. Like, there's points for winning and not getting hit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. With all the people that, obviously, the whole thing went pretty viral. Who was the most famous person that slid into the DMs?
Oh, maybe Izzy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Shelby shared it. A lot of the city kickboxing boys were like wishing me well and that.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's his name? Liam Harrison, the Muay Thai guy. Liam Badco is his Instagram. Like, I never met the guy, but he just went through a knee surgery and all that. He's a pretty up there guy who was just always keeping tabs on me, just making sure I'm good. I was like, man, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Have you thought about getting into like linking up with what was the fight dietitian? Who was he?
Geordie.
Is there ever been any thought of doing some like linking up with him and potentially doing like some mental stuff with some amateur fighters and things like that? Because I think, man, you got like I think if you're an old soul, like you've been through a fuckload of shit now, and obviously you've got the runs on the board outside of fighting, but you've also got the runs on the board inside of fighting. So like, has that crossed your mind at all to try to dive into that sort of thing, help young fighters keep their mental where it needs to be?
Briefly, right? For me, I've actually done a little bit of this, even for people for outside of MMA. I always had trouble with switching on. Some fights would be there, some fights I weren't. Like even when I fought that last one, wasn't really there.
Maybe you can coach Izzy next time. Got him.
Poor bugger. Jeez. Well, it's his breathwork coach who helped me a little bit as well. But for this first bit of time, I've been a little bit scared of it. I've tried the best for a while to remove myself from the sport. The first UFC card I've watched since it was the weekend just gone.
Fuck. Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, I can imagine. I can just imagine.
Like it was every waking moment for me, and then you can't do it. So I kind of separated myself.
I'd imagine a lot of your social media as well was very much.
Oh man, I'm off it.
Yeah,
yeah. Like
you did say, hey man, I don't have notifications.
Yeah. Like that. Like social media saved my butt a bit. Like. Obviously, with the sharing, the donations, everything like that.
The good that can come from it.
Yeah, and then afterwards, like just having people in my inbox just being like, "Hey, man, you're doing well." Like, you okay? Everything like that. Like a lot of it, I didn't know how to deal with, but a lot of it's kind of reassuring as well.
Yeah.
But it's as far as that mental side, I've just started to dip my toes back in. Got a spot coaching in Milton, so we're getting a new name for the gym. Matt Lee and I are going to be coaching there and everything like that. And the guy he's going to look after us in the, as we should. And I've got a lot of experience. I've done a lot of study. So, and it's not going to be anything hectic. We're just training, the hobbyist, the casual, open mats, have some fun, learn some cool techniques. Like I've done taekwondo, capoeira, everything. Like I can teach you some cool shit. But that'll be me dipping my toes back in. Are
you a bit nervous to do that? Like, are you a little bit...
More nervous for my mental.
Yeah.
Like, as far as coach... Like, I've coached gymnastics. I've coached parkour, everything. Like, I've been coaching since I was, 13. Like, and you ask anyone that I've been with, even in Thailand, like, they say I'm one of the best coaches that, they've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at coaching the same way as you look at teaching, there's different manners people learn. Physical, monkey see, monkey do. Like, there's people who have to learn everything by every single word. The way I look at coaching is like everyone's got a different brain. They've got a different way they absorb knowledge. You've got to figure out that way, and then you can funnel information into them through that.
Yep.
But when you teach a class, you've got to teach it in a way that everyone can pick up on it. And
you have 13 people that learn 13 different ways.
Yeah, you've got to hit all those targets, and that's where I find I'm very good at explaining techniques, moves, reason. People need reasons why. Some people just need to know what they need to do. That's where I'm good with the coaching. Yeah, but that whole mental side, like if people ask me outside of all of it, I haven't thought about it. No, is to answer the question. I've helped Steve's son, Charlie. I've helped Jason's daughter, just with different ways of switching on, breathing. So you watch any of my fights, before I fight, I'll have a trigger. So 2-3 weeks out from a fight, I'm very cool to spar with. I'm very gamey, fun. I'll commentate myself when I'm punching on. It's awesome. But 2-3 weeks out from a fight, it gets different. People don't really want to spar anymore because I won't look at the person. I'll go through my triggers. Whether some of my fights, I just touch my eyes. Some of them I quickly squat. You have these triggers, maybe a bit of breath work, and then it's on. So you practice that through your sparring sessions, and then you go into the fight. Bang, you're on. So for Charlie, we had him a warm-up. And it was like he needed to be a bit more aggressive in his AFL games. So we like went through a warm up. It was like, all right, cool. Like you go through, you're like, all right, you're going to switch on. And I got him to do it on the pads. So I was like, all right, we've got to get a bit of aggression out. And like, you'd almost tease it out of him. Like, come on, like, you know.
Was that all you got?
Fire a young, yeah. And you'd get him to like start punching on. And then you'd be like, all right, stop. No, go over there, relax. Like, don't be angry. Go relax. Like, cool, breathe, you know, talk with them. But like, all right, you got 5 seconds of warm up. Then we're on, and then you bring that back out of them. So they start to develop these triggers before they go play the game or whatever it was.
Yep.
Jason's daughter was playing tennis, and she would kill it in training, but when it comes to competition, just never.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that.
We went through that same process with her, and same thing with her on the pads. She's bringing home trophies now.
Yeah.
So like, there's all because
that must be rewarding.
Yeah, like that's the stuff I love doing. So, like, yeah, maybe in the future that could be a thing. For me, it's just helping people.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to, like, I like seeing other people achieve things. And again, back on the firefighter, like, that's kind of where I want to do. Like, yeah, if this podcast does anything for me, if any other firefighter out there, like, sing out sort of thing. Like, I have got Steve and he's helping me out with firefighter visits and all that. But I think that is my own goal, is just to help as many people as I can.
And I think you've been through enough to kind of, when you do set your mind on something, you don't get to where you got to in the fight game
100%.
without being laser focused. So I think if you want to be a fireman,
it's going to happen.
Exactly. I have no doubt in you.
See, that's my mentality. I have zero doubt that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just
Neither do I. I have a zero doubt mentality in everything I do every day.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubt about it. I stress and all of that sort of thing. But
the
as far
stress
as
is what makes it happen. Like, good thing doesn't happen to good people. Good things happen to those who make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, sure, being a good person helps. But, so fireys go 4 days on, 4 days off. I'd love to help
Perfect
coach.
lifestyle.
But in that other time, I can help coach.
Yeah.
And, like, I said it talking to, striking breakdowns on the Instagram. Like, one of the things, I'm a good coach. I don't know what it is, the way I can convey things. I know I'm a good coach because people tell me, hundreds of people have told me I'm a good coach. I think that is just stupid not to have that in my life as well. So, like, sure, 4 days on, 4 days off, but like those other 2-3 days, jump in there and help coach. Like, I'm calling for Brad this weekend on Beatdown.
Yep.
This is like, I've coached Brad from the start. Like,
so this will be out after, but that's probably a good time to shout out the Beatdown promotions. That's so good. That's so cool, man. Like what he's doing there. Like, what's your thoughts on that? It's
giving fighters a platform that they deserve. Yeah. Like the way that show runs is fucking class. Like he's a fighter himself. Like, still arguably an active fighter as well if he can get a fight.
He's got a super match on the mat, jiu-jitsu match.
I want to see him fight again.
Yeah.
Like, because he's a gamer.
Dude, man. And he fucking sends it too.
Yeah, that's what I love about it.
And one of the favourite things I like about Beatdown Promotions is that he could very easy put the girls on the undercard and they're a main event.
Yep.
So what, Jana Harding versus Jamie Eddington?
Yep.
Female main event.
Yep.
Which is cool for a local scene. You know, you've got
Stewie Nickel.
Yeah, so Bros Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, man.
And then obviously his own fighters. Like, what better way to get fighters through your gym?
And he does not pick fights for him as well. Like, he puts us against some hard, like...
I think he kind of knows that he has to too. Otherwise, the promotion won't end up...
Well, you look at, like I'm going to rag on a few promotions. Like, there's, like, Urban Fight Night and that. Like Hex used to... Hex is pretty good now. But there's, like, a lot of promotions, like you look at any of the promotions, right, and people get picked good matches.
Yeah.
Dude, all my amateur fights, I fought one person out of 8 or 9 who had a losing record.
So you're just thrown to the wolves.
Every single time. Everyone had more fights than me and more wins than me. My first pro fight was against 0-0. My second pro fight, so I'm 1-0, was against a guy who was 3-0, all with first round KOs, 25 plus amateur fights, and 75 kickboxing and boxing fights. Tell me I wasn't getting fed.
Yeah, that's some ring time.
Like, and he was like, Alex Volkanovski's sparring partner. 1-0. Like, bro, come on.
What was the result?
I won. Yeah.
Maybe he got thrown to the wolves, mate.
all right, cool. You're 2-0. Now go fight David Martinez. It's like 2-time Australian champion. That's like, what is he, 13 or 14-4 now or something like that?
Yeah, well, I think he was like an XFC title holder, wasn't he?
So, right.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. And then a 2-time Eternal champion.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, that guy is fucking good.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyhow, there's these promotions and whatnot who are like feeding certain people. You see him come up. They're like, dude, there's some people that are fighting right now. There's one guy who hasn't beaten anyone with a winning record. The only people he's beaten have a losing record, but significantly. And you're like, oh yeah, you're not getting picked any fights.
That's like, yeah.
But so Damien, he's got his own guys on there, and they do not get easy fights. Like I fought Michael. Yeah. He was like number 12 or something, and like he was good.
Good fight.
Max Kelly fought another top guy. Caleb fought another top guy. Like all of them fought. Like really good guys.
And it's just a testament to Damo, man. He doesn't fuck around. Like he's a veteran, for fuck's sake.
And he knows how to put on a good show. And you watch the show, man, and it's free.
Yeah. Because it live streams on YouTube, doesn't it? So, like, and that's the next thing, separating it from Fight Pass. Like, I'm sure Fight Pass want that event.
Yeah, dude, all of them are sellout shows as well.
Yeah. And they got tables, and I'm pretty sure, so it'll be, so it's tomorrow night.
Dude, and the fighting there is unreal.
Are you going to go?
You win. Yeah, I'm cornering.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, cornering for Brad.
Fuck yeah.
So I was holding pads for him and that coming up to it and like coming up. Because like, there's a simple formula for winning amateur fights.
Be fit?
Dude, yeah, be fit is one of it. And I was always fit. That's how I beat everyone, right? You got a 9-minute fight. You win 2 minutes of the first or second, and then 2 minutes of the second or third. 4 minutes out of a 9-minute fight, and you've won.
Yeah.
You take someone down, you hold them in half guard, slow control, put a bit of a beating on them. You're good.
And then just circle the rest.
Dude, that's how Matt Lee got so damn good. I didn't listen, though. I tried to kill everyone in my path. So I'd be like, I got to win every fucking minute of this damn thing.
It's probably the fastest way to a contract, though.
Yeah. And that's how I always looked at it, right? You got to be entertaining. Like, Steve Compton taught me. He used to be my pad holder. OG, shout out to Steve. He's always checked up on me. He's an absolute legend. And
he must have a black belt just about every martial art.
100%. And he's got people just offering him black belts to come learn their martial arts. Yeah. Like, he is the OG
who's
of
the
OGs.
There's the young fighter out of Compton that just
Tom
landed
Nolan? So I was scheduled to fight him as well.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
He's super tall, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's very, like... I haven't seen the fight on the Contender. I've only seen kind of out what I've researched.
Real quick. Yeah, left hook, like rolled under, threw up that left hook, and chinned him.
Oh, you fought him?
No, I was meant to.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Tom chinned that guy. Yeah.
No. And I didn't realise how tall he was. I was like, man, he's skinny. But then I was like, holy fuck,
man, I saw him at the back of one fight and we had a comment. I was like, yeah, man, you're going to keep making lightweight or what? He's like, yeah, it's piece of piece. What the fuck?
Because he's early 20s?
Yeah, he's young.
He'd be quite young for the roster.
Man, I watched him make a guy quit on the stool back in XFC. Like when he fought for like the featherweight belt.
Fucking hell.
And this guy was like staunching him on the way in. Wouldn't let him get in the cage. Like big man and him. Tom was like 17. Comes out, the guy quit on the stool in between. He just smashed him with body kicks. I'm pretty sure he like spinning heel kicked him in the gut. And halfway through, he was like, yeah, none. I don't want any. Like a 17-year-old kid. Like, look, I beat a 27-year-old man when I was 17. You can't screw with...
What's probably the most famous fight out of, like, the XFC? Probably fucking Ben Nguyen and Jules the Jackal.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
That would be probably the most...
Yeah, hung out with Benny a bit too.
Whatever the fucking happened to Jules the Jackal? Is he still kicking?
I've heard some stories that I won't go into, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's the obvious ones, yeah. But just whether or not he's still... I don't even know if he's in the country.
I have zero idea.
He just sort of dropped off the face of the earth. But he was like, man, he copped outside of all that in the ring. Like, dude, he fucking sent it. Like, he had a good go. And that can't be, I suppose, it can't be downplayed. Sure, that happened. Like, fuck, man, he tried to sell a fight and he was trying to be a very good promoter. And then that happened. So, like, whether or not he should be...
the other guy...
Yeah.
Go Benny.
And Benny's so quiet and and he's like the perfect guy.
And it just got that promotion, dude. Bully versus like
every May the 4th, bro, he posts Ben posts the video
Yeah.
Where he's got like a lightsaber. Someone's like CGI'd a lightsaber and knocks him out.
My mate did that. Yeah.
It's so good. I wait every fucking year for it,
bro.
man. It comes out.
There was XFC that I fought. No, Eternal I fought on. It was May the 4th was the weigh-in. And I rocked up to the weigh-in and I pulled out a lightsaber and I was like, he's like, did you bring one for me? I'm like, it's like...
Dude, you sell your own fight, bro.
Yeah, man. I wanted to get like Jedi robes to rock up in and like...
That would have been sick, man, if you had walked out. God, back then they didn't really do it. These days, though, going out the Darth Vader mask is something they would do.
Like, I'm the biggest nerd out. Like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Doctor, like, all of that stuff, man. I froth.
Is that how you spend most of your time recovering? Watching fucking...
I did for a bit, yeah. Look, no, to be fair, as soon as I got out, I was back in the gym. Yeah. Like, I did not waste a moment.
Yeah, no, I do remember seeing, like, you were straight back into it.
Before skin grafts, I had the BTM biotemporizing matrix on. I was kicking the bag. Not with that leg, but I've got a very good friend who's helped me out a lot, Monique. And she's a nurse, and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she's like, I'm like, "Are you not like prioritizing your health?" And I'm like, "Look, like," and I get it. Like, I love it a bit. She's like a sister, but I'm like, I have to move. Like, I have to. Like, I will go bonkers. Like, I've got to be doing shit. Like, Kelsey will be like, "Oh, can't you just like we have a Sunday where we sit down?" I'm like, yeah, after I do some shit. Like, I've got to mow the yard. Like, I take the dogs for a walk. Like, I got to do something. I got to achieve something every single day. If you take a step forward, it's not a day wasted to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, back on fucking Damo Singh. That guy is killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to be sidetracked there. But
yeah. I'd like to get... I will get Damo on here, I think, at some stage.
Yeah,
He's interested.
Damo, if you listen to this, please have some sort of excitement in your voice so people can listen to it. Just when he talks, I think it's like, yeah, ex-army fighter and everything. Like, nothing will bring him up except his kid, which is amazing. But like, come on, mate.
Man, he's I've got some very close friends, that are veterans, and they're all very much like that.
Yeah,
I think, they've been through some shit.
Dude, I live next door to one. This is when I lived with Jamie in Luke is his name. Luke and I, best neighbours you could ever ask for, and we had some like shit go down. This is the week. So in 1 week, the house across the road, Jamie and I thought it was a brothel. Turns out it fucking was. Like Macrovat, up in Macrovat.
Turns out it was.
Yeah, man. So they've like rebuilt this house, and there's people coming and going. And it'd be like 9 o'clock at night, like cars would rock up. Like, so just before this, like a bunch of girls would go inside and like, then cars would come and stay for an hour and then leave. And like, they'd be there like every week or so. And there's always one guy who'd be there at like 1 o'clock in the morning, just having a cigarette on the top floor in the balcony. And then at daytime, he'd be in his budgie smugglers watering his ute. Not washing it, watering it. And we're just like, what the fuck is going on here? So that was a weird week. Cops come around, busted that. The other week, we're going to gel blasters. So we got into gel blasters for a bit.
Yeah. How fucking sick are they?
Dude,
so much fun.
Cool. So Jamie and I, like, he knew, I didn't. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be sick. There's going to be like heaps of other really good players. Like, the competitor in me is just like, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
We're on here.
Get there and it's a bunch of people who live in their mum's basements and everything. And you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Like,
I know exactly what you mean. It's like you
so we're playing. We're athletes, man. We're running through and we're popping everyone. Like, on the way there one time, we pulled off. And I'm cruising down my Subaru and I'm like, why are all these cars? This is off the Yatla turnoff. Like, why are all these cars pulled up around here? Oh, there's a car. Dude, it had to be 25 meters rolled up onto the embankment. And I'm like,
moving at a rate of speed.
Dude, just one of the windows like, has anyone checked if anyone's in there? And like, this person's like, nah, I just got here. I'm like, oh, fucking all right.
Here you are, yeah.
Yeah, cruise up and I'm like, ask the next guy and I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's stuttering. I'm like, fuck. Ripped on the shoes and I bolted up this hill and there's one guy who's just frozen there. I'm like, dude, is there anyone in that car? And he's like, I don't know. Jesus. And the car's upside down. I go around the other side, rip the door open. She's like, fire, help me. I'm like, shit. Like, I'm a mechanic. I know fire, car, not good. Explosion.
Yeah. Fuel,
bad shit
car,
happens.
Boom.
And I'm like, rightio, door's ripped open. I'm pulling her out and she's, oh, my ribs. Suddenly this guy that was there is like grown some balls. Now someone else is there. I was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have ribs. And I was like, you get the fuck back. Like, Jamie, get him the fuck away. And Jamie's like, yeah, man, like back off. Pulled her out, got her down. I got blood covering like me everywhere.
Fucking hell.
And you know when like someone does something, everyone else seems to just grow a set and like, oh, they want to be the hero now.
Yeah.
put her down, and everyone's like, oh, crowding in. I'm like, back the fuck, like, give her some space. And like sitting there, I'm like smelling her. I'm like, oh, Jamie, you should ask her like how she is. And like, so he's got her attention. I'm like, she's been drinking. Like, yeah, you smell the booze. And I'm looking at her arm and there's puncture marks. And I'm like, all right, cool. Look, the ambos are on the way and the cops are on the way. And she's like, oh, no, I'm feeling pretty good. I might head. I'm like, nah, you know, like as soon as we mentioned cops, that was happening.
Yeah.
So that same week, right, we've got the brothel's been busted. This has happened. The cops pulled up to a house 2 doors up from us, and there was a young fellow with special needs there, and things were getting a bit escalated at their house. So the cops opened the door, and he's taken to the male cop with like a vegetable paring knife, you know, the little hook ones, slashed him. This female cop has unloaded a full clip, hit this guy twice in the leg. This is the area they're going for.
They're not allowed to. They've got to shoot to kill, don't they?
Yeah. The bullets have hit the house behind.
Oh, my fucking God.
And everywhere else. Like, there's bullet holes in the fence behind. I'm like, what has happened? So Luke he's seen some, like, intense stuff.
Ex-military.
Yeah. Like, his section saw, like, more combat than, like, any other section at the time. They got stuck in, like, a bad area. But he's, like, the friendliest, most chill guy.
Most of the time they are.
So he's cruised up there, like, oh, like I need permission to touch his body. Like, can I please work? And she's, like, fucking shaking. And, yeah, so he's, like, ripped his shirt off, bandaged that up. But just chill as. And he's just calm through the whole situation. And because he's our neighbor and we got locked down, we'd had, like, dinners and everything like that. And he'd come over and, like, he'd have a few beers and everything, and he'd start telling some stories, and you're just like, holy shit. But the other cool thing is, like, because we were, like, into our gel blast at the time, he's like, yeah, I'll teach you guys how to clear rooms and everything like that. So we're, like, rocking up to this close quarters combat, and Jamie and I are, like, cruising around, like, real proper.
Full tactical.
Yeah, man. Like, it was cool.
Man, that's fucking cool to hear. But they're always, like, I love getting, like, I've got a family member that's was a doggy combat engineer, dog handler in the army. Man, getting a few beers into him, and he's like, it's so much fun. Dude, I love, and I'm talking like 5, I don't drink much anymore, but I sort of have a thing when I do drink, I drink with him. Yep. And I literally will have beers with him and then kind of have my own podcast with him. And he just sits there just telling me these stories, man. It's like, I'm sitting there with my jaws on the floor just going, that is fucking unreal, man. But yeah, I can imagine though, they all seem to have that kind of, once you get to know them, they seem to open up a bit, but at very first, which I think is probably what you're saying about poor Damo that's just copped an absolute flogging from you.
He knows I'm going to fucking pull shit on him. Like anyone that's a mate with me knows they're all going to cop it. But yeah, fuck him. What are you going to do? Nah. Damo's a legend. He also played a big part in getting me back, and a few other people from that gym. And like I went in there. That was the first gym that I went to after all this happened.
Did you train out of base?
Yes.
Properly? Yeah.
Yes,
you were a base fighter.
I did my fight camp there for Stenoff and all that.
Yeah.
And like, because Dame and I used to train together back at Integrated. And I always like...
How many years ago was that? Because I remember that was... Because did Damo make his UFC debut out of Integrated?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it was Steve Compton, would have been Dan Higgins in his corner, and maybe Aaron Blackie, maybe.
Think so, yeah.
That's, I think...
Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, because we were... cause I wrestled with him and everything. I remember...
He's got these fucking tree trunk legs,
dude,
bro.
he can whip him up against your head so quick. Like, we were sparring, right? And he's southpaw at the time, like, just practicing. And, like I've never sparred him at this point. And I'm looking at his legs, and, like, this is where I learned not to judge a book by its cover. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, I've just got to worry about hands. And this kick just goes, whoom, and I'm like, Jesus, like, how do those legs get up there?
Yeah.
Like, they're dad legs through
and because he'd cut weight, but then nothing had happened. He's like... Like, it was just like, it's like, man, that you do not want to imagine getting leg kicked by those fucking big heavy things, man.
He's not a weak human being by any means.
But just before we finish, mate, yesterday being Are You Okay Day, I think is a good time to ask you. Are you okay, brother?
It's
every day is a day.
Yeah. I'm just trying to occupy myself, hey?
Yeah. The good thing is what I've learned from this is you speak very highly of your friends, So I can imagine that that support group around you is very strong. So that's probably the most important thing moving forward. But if there's anything I can do, be it connect you with the right people, anything like that, man, I'm happy to help where I can.
I appreciate the conversation. I didn't know what to expect for this, but like it's fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Podcasts are fun, bros. As long as you let it be a conversation, I think. I'm very specific not to ask questions. I kind of want you to tell Tim's story more than anything, man. I think you've articulated yourself really well, bro. But I'm super proud to have you here. It's probably my favourite one yet.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Thank you, brother.
No worries.
Appreciate it. Yeah.